The foot in the door technique is a fascinating psychological concept that explores how our actions and decisions can be subtly influenced. At its core, this tactic involves making a small request initially, one that is easy for someone to agree to, before progressing to a larger request. The idea is that once a person has committed to a small action, they are more likely to agree to a bigger one later. Imagine you ask a neighbor if they wouldn't mind watering your plants while you are on vacation. This is a simple, low-pressure request that doesn't require much effort. After your neighbor agrees and completes this task, if you later ask if they could also feed your cat during the same time, they are more likely to say yes. The underlying principle at play here is consistency. People like to feel that their actions align with their beliefs and prior decisions, so once they have agreed to a minor request, they feel a natural inclination to maintain that consistency by complying with a subsequent, larger request. This tactic is used in a variety of fields. For example, in sales, a salesperson may ask a potential customer if they would like to sign up for a free trial of a product before suggesting they buy the full version. By getting the customer to commit to the free trial, the salesperson increases the likelihood that the customer will eventually purchase the product. Foot in the door can also be seen in social campaigns. Nonprofits often engage this technique by first asking for small donations or signatures on a petition. Once a person has taken a small action, they may feel a stronger connection to the cause, and later they might be more willing to give a larger donation or participate in a fundraiser. Research has shown that this technique can be remarkably effective. In studies, individuals who first agreed to a small request were significantly more likely to agree to a larger, related request later on, compared to those who were asked for the larger request right away. The psychology behind this is intriguing. It relates to our self-image. When we agree to a small request, we start to see ourselves as helpful or supportive individuals. This self-perception makes it harder to refuse subsequent requests that align with that image. Let's think about everyday situations. Perhaps you volunteered to help a friend with a small task, like proofreading an email. After helping them with that minor job, they might feel comfortable asking for your assistance with a larger project, such as planning an event. Your initial willingness reinforces their belief that you are a helpful person and makes it easier for them to ask more of you later. In personal relationships, this technique also plants the seeds for deeper connections. For instance, if one friend asks another friend for a small favor, like borrowing a book, and the other agrees, they just might develop a stronger bond through these small interactions. Over time, the request can evolve into deeper favors or sharing personal experiences, fostering stronger connections built on trust and reliability. Interestingly, foot in the door isn't limited to face-to-face interactions. It can also play out in online settings. Consider online surveys. Participants are often first asked to answer a few simple questions before being drawn into longer surveys or marketing efforts. The initial engagement aims to foster a sense of commitment. After answering those few questions, respondents may feel more inclined to complete a lengthier survey or provide more detailed feedback. However, it is important to recognize that this technique should be employed ethically and thoughtfully. Misusing it to manipulate others can lead to feelings of mistrust and resentment. It's crucial to respect both your own needs and those of others. Mutual benefit should be the goal in any interaction, ensuring that both parties feel valued and respected. Stepping into the world of foot in the door reveals much about human behavior and the connections we form. It showcases how a small step can lead to larger gestures and encourages understanding the importance of commitment in our lives. This dynamic can shape the way we interact with one another, from casual relationships to business dealings, reinforcing the power of small beginnings, leading to great outcomes. In the end, understanding the foot in the door tactic not only enriches our knowledge of psychological influences, but also offers insights into how we can navigate our social worlds more effectively. By recognizing and potentially utilizing this technique, we become more aware of our interactions, fostering opportunities for genuine connections and collaborative efforts. The journey from a small act to a significant one embodies the essence of gradual trust and commitment, highlighting the simplicity yet profound nature of human relationships. Have you ever had a conversation that took an unexpected turn, where the person on the other end seemed to ask for something outrageous, only to follow up with a more reasonable request? If so, you may have experienced a psychological technique known as the door-in-the-face method. This intriguing approach plays on human psychology and negotiation tactics, and it has fascinating implications in various aspects of life. The door-in-the-face technique hinges on a very simple, yet powerful idea. People are often more likely to agree to a second request if they have previously refused a much larger one. Imagine a scenario where a school fundraiser is being organized. The organizers might first ask potential contributors for a hefty donation of $100. Most people would likely decline this large request. However, when the same organizers then ask for a smaller contribution, say $10, the potential donors might feel more inclined to agree. After all, $10 seems much more manageable compared to the initial request. Why does this happen? The answer lies in the concept of reciprocity. When someone refuses a large request, they may feel a sense of obligation to accommodate a smaller one. This can create a psychological shift in the way they perceive the second request. The initial rejection creates a context where the second, smaller request seems like a compromise, making it easier for individuals to say yes. This technique is prevalent in negotiations, sales, and even everyday interactions. Think about a classic example in a workplace setting. If a manager approaches an employee to work overtime for an entire week, the employee might express concerns about their personal time and decline. The manager might then pivot to request just one additional hour of work on a specific day. The smaller request may seem reasonable in light of the more extensive commitment, and the employee might feel more agreeable to it. The door-in-the-face strategy taps into an inherent psychological tendency. We often want to be seen as reasonable and fair. When faced with a large request and subsequently a smaller one, we might think of this as a negotiation, thus making it easier to agree to the second. It's a compelling reminder of how framing requests can significantly influence decision-making. Furthermore, the effectiveness of this technique can depend on various factors. The relationship between the requester and the responder plays a crucial role in the door-in-the-face approach. For example, if the initial request comes from a friend or someone we trust, we might feel more comfortable negotiating and agreeing to a later, smaller request. It is interesting to note that the door-in-the-face method can also apply to group dynamics. In a team setting, if a leader proposes a large, ambitious project that seems impossible, the team might feel overwhelmed and decline. However, if the leader then suggests a more feasible part of the project or a smaller task, the team members may feel more motivated to agree, seeing it as a way to contribute to a larger goal that initially seemed daunting. Marketing professionals and advertisers have also harnessed the door-in-the-face strategy effectively. Consider an advertisement for a premium subscription service that first presents an extravagant offer, perhaps one that includes an array of features, advanced access, or exclusive benefits. When viewers recognize that the offer is more than they are willing to spend, they may be pleasantly surprised when a more affordable and limited offer is presented right afterward. This technique offers an interesting insight into human behavior. It emphasizes that our reactions to requests are often dictated not just by what is being asked, but by how it is framed. The context of our initial response can shape our eventual decisions in ways we might not have anticipated. Understanding the door-in-the-face technique also invites reflection on ethical considerations. While it can be an effective tool in negotiations and communications, it's essential to use such techniques responsibly. An awareness of how individuals might feel manipulated if the approach feels too contrived or insincere is important. The best outcomes often arise from honest, transparent communication and respect for others' boundaries. In conclusion, the door-in-the-face technique reveals a fascinating aspect of human psychology and negotiation strategies. By initially presenting a large request followed by a smaller one, individuals can navigate persuasive situations more effectively. Whether in personal relationships, workplace negotiations, or marketing, it showcases the intricate dance of communication and the subtle ways we respond to requests. Experimenting with this strategy, while being conscious of ethical implications, can deepen our understanding of interaction, influence, and the power dynamics at play in everyday exchanges. The halo effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that shapes the way we view others and the world around us. Imagine walking into a room where a person is sitting confidently, with an engaging smile and an approachable demeanor. Most likely, your first impression will be overwhelmingly positive. Now, this initial perception doesn't just stop with how you view their personality. Because they convey such strong positive vibes, you might also begin to infer that they are competent, intelligent, and even kind, regardless of whether you actually know anything about their skills or intentions. The halo effect can be found in various settings, from our everyday encounters to significant decision-making areas like hiring and personal relationships. For example, during a job interview, A candidate who dresses well and carries themselves with confidence may not only make a great first impression, but might also be perceived as more capable and qualified. The interviewer may find themselves overlooking gaps in their skills or experience, allowing the initial positive qualities to overshadow any negatives. Interestingly, the halo effect is not restricted to physical presence alone. It can happen in digital contexts as well. Consider social media influencers. A person who showcases a seemingly perfect lifestyle can often receive a burst of admiration, causing followers to assume they hold a wealth of knowledge or expertise in unrelated areas, such as health, fitness, or even finance. The charismatic charisma of the influencer leads their audience to perceive them as well-rounded individuals, despite their lack of qualifications in specific fields. Let's say you're attending a lecture. If the speaker appears enthusiastic and knowledgeable from the start, you may subconsciously allow that positive vibe to color your perception of the material, thinking it's more insightful than it truly is. On the contrary, a speaker who stumbles over their introduction might create a negative halo effect, leading the audience to believe that their entire presentation lacks substance, even if it is factually rich. Moreover, this cognitive bias extends beyond individuals. Brands, for instance, can also be affected by the halo effect. A company known for its exceptional customer service may gain a reputation for producing high-quality products, even if the quality of those products has not been rigorously tested. Consumers often allow their feelings towards one aspect of a brand to influence their overall perception of it. This can greatly impact buying decisions and brand loyalty. Education systems are not immune to this phenomenon either. Teachers may unconsciously develop a positive or negative predisposition towards students based on their behavior in class or their appearance. A charming student who participates eagerly can receive more praise and attention, which may lead to a more favorable learning experience compared to someone who is quieter, even if both students have equal potential. In romantic relationships, the halo effect plays a crucial role as well. When someone finds their partner attractive or charming, they often favorably judge their kindness or compatibility even more. Someone who is perceived as physically appealing may receive more forgiveness for flaws or mistakes, because their positive traits shine so brightly in the eyes of their partner. However, it is essential to recognize that the halo effect can also lead us to make substantial misjudgments. By allowing a single positive attribute to cloud our judgment, we may overlook critical information that could paint a more accurate picture. This bias can breed unfair advantages or disadvantages, and create scenarios where decisions are based more on impressions than facts. Being aware of the halo effect can open doors to more thoughtful evaluations. By training ourselves to consider individuals or entities on their merits, free from the initial impressions, we can foster a more nuanced understanding of the people and situations we encounter daily. In practice, this might involve taking a moment to reflect when we form snap judgments, and challenging ourselves to question whether our perceptions are influenced by positive or negative traits. In conclusion, the halo effect is a cognitive bias that colors our perceptions in powerful ways. Whether we're encountering a person, brand, or concept, our thoughts and feelings about one favorable trait can skew our understanding, leading to assumptions that may not reflect reality. By being mindful of this bias, we can strive to see the full spectrum of qualities in others and make more informed decisions based on a more comprehensive appreciation of their abilities and character. By recognizing these patterns in our thinking, we can improve our interactions and enrich our understanding of the diverse world around us. This can ultimately lead us toward a more integrated way of relating to others, seeing them as they truly are, rather than through the lens of initial impressions alone. The framing effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that describes how the presentation of information can significantly impact our decisions and perceptions. It highlights that the way options are framed or communicated can lead to different choices, even when the underlying facts remain constant. This idea can be illustrated in numerous everyday scenarios, shedding light on how easily our judgments can be swayed by the mere context of information. Consider the classic example of a marketing campaign for a product. Imagine two advertisements for the same type of yogurt. One ad might state that the yogurt is, quote, 80% fat-free, while another might advertise it as contains 20% fat. Despite the fact that both statements convey the same information, research has shown that many consumers are more likely to prefer the yogurt labeled as 80% fat-free. This stark difference in wording, evokes distinct emotional responses, effectively framing the product in a way that makes it appear healthier or more appealing. To delve deeper, let's look at a real-world application of the framing effect in the medical field. When doctors present treatment options to patients, the way they frame the success rates can influence patients' choices. For instance, if a doctor says that a certain surgery has a 90% success rate, patients might feel more confident about opting for it. Conversely, if the doctor presents the same information by stating that there is a, quote, 10% failure rate, patients may be more hesitant and anxious about proceeding with the surgery, even though both statements communicate the same statistic. This effect is not limited to consumer choices or medical decisions. It extends to our interactions with news and media as well. For example, news coverage of a particular event can vary dramatically based on how it is framed. If a report focuses on the positive aspects of a technological innovation, highlighting the benefits and advancements it brings to society, the public may respond positively and embrace it. However, if the same event is reported with an emphasis on potential drawbacks and ethical concerns, the public's reception may be more critical or fearful. This shows that framing influences not just individual choices, but also broader societal attitudes. Another interesting component of the framing effect can be observed in political discourse. Politicians and campaign teams frequently exploit framing to shape public perception. During elections, candidates may frame their policies in a light that emphasizes their benefits while downplaying any negative consequences. For instance, a candidate may present a proposed tax increase as a necessary investment in public goods, casting it in a favorable light. In contrast, their opponent may focus on the burden of higher taxes, leading voters to form different opinions based on the framing of the same issue. Moreover, the framing effect can significantly impact our personal relationships and interpersonal communication. The way we present information to friends, family, or colleagues can influence their reactions and decisions. For example, if a friend asks for feedback on their new business idea, framing your response positively can encourage them. Instead of saying it has major flaws, you might highlight its innovative aspects while gently suggesting improvements. This constructive framing helps maintain a supportive atmosphere while still providing honest feedback. The implications of the framing effect extend into areas such as public health. For instance, campaigns aimed at promoting healthy behaviors often utilize framing to enhance effectiveness. By framing the message in a way that emphasizes the positive outcomes of adopting healthier habits, like increased energy and well-being, versus focusing solely on the negative effects of poor health, these messages can foster more significant lifestyle changes. In advertising, the framing effect is used strategically to target emotions. Advertisers often rely on framing to tap into our desires and fears. For example, consider an ad for a weight loss program. One advertisement may frame the program as a path to achieving your dream body, evoking feelings of desire and aspiration. Meanwhile, a competing ad might frame the program as a means to avoid health risks associated with obesity, appealing to fear and anxiety. Depending on which emotional response resonates more with the viewer, the choice to engage with the advertisement will vary. Recognizing the framing effect can also encourage more mindful decision-making. By understanding that our perceptions can be influenced by how information is presented, we can approach decisions with a more critical eye. This awareness urges us to seek a broad range of perspectives and evaluate information thoroughly, ensuring that our choices are informed by facts rather than purely the presentation. In conclusion, the framing effect is a powerful reminder of how the human mind processes information. It underscores the importance of presentation and context, revealing how subtle changes in wording can shape our feelings and decisions. From marketing to politics and personal interactions, framing is an omnipresent force that influences our perceptions in profound ways. The ability to harness or defend against this effect can empower individuals to make choices aligned with their true values and beliefs, rather than being swayed by the art of presentation alone. Whether we're navigating our personal lives or considering larger societal issues, being aware of the framing effect allows us to sharpen our critical thinking and enhance our decision-making skills. Have you ever noticed how we often look back at our choices with a certain fondness, even if they weren't perfect? This phenomenon is known as choice-supportive bias, and it's a fascinating aspect of our psychology that affects the way we remember our decisions. Imagine you bought a new car. In the moment of the purchase, you were captivated by its sleek design, modern features, and impressive performance. Over time, as you drive it around town, you might notice a few scratches, or find that the gas mileage isn't as great as you anticipated. However, when you think about that car later, your memory tends to emphasize the excitement of the purchase rather than any small inconveniences. This is choice-supportive bias in action. Choice-supportive bias helps us feel good about the decisions we've made. When we remember a choice positively, it creates a sense of satisfaction and reinforces our self-esteem. It can also play a significant role in how we make future decisions. If we remember our past choices in a favorable light, it encourages us to make similar decisions in the future, believing that we have a good track record. Consider a situation where you chose a vacation destination. Maybe you decided to go to a beach resort, and while there were certain aspects that didn't live up to your expectations, like a crowded pool or food that was not quite up to par, you might only reminisce about the beautiful sunsets and the fun activities you enjoyed. This selective recollection helps you feel good about your trip, which might lead you to choose a similar vacation next time. Interestingly, this bias isn't limited to positive experiences. It can also influence our recollection of negative experiences. For instance, if you endured a tough time during a project at work, focusing only on the lessons learned or the satisfaction of completing the task can overshadow the stress you encountered. You might find yourself choosing to take on a demanding project again, remembering only the fruitful outcomes rather than the challenges faced. This bias can have implications in various areas of life, including relationships. Think about a past romantic partner. While there may have been difficult moments and clashes of personalities, as time passes, the memories can begin to focus more on the happy time spent together. The laughter, the shared experiences, and the love often overshadow lingering resentments or conflicts. This may even lead some to contemplate rekindling a past relationship, influenced by the positive light in which they remember it. Studies have shown that choice-supportive bias occurs as a cognitive process. The brain attempts to maintain a consistent narrative of ourselves as decision-makers. It seeks to minimize cognitive dissonance, which is the discomfort we experience when holding conflicting beliefs or when our experiences challenge our self-image. By recalling past decisions through an optimistic lens, we affirm our choices and build a narrative that justifies our actions. Awareness of choice-supportive bias can also be beneficial. By recognizing that our memories might not always be entirely accurate, we can make more informed choices. Reflecting critically on past decisions, including both the positive and negative aspects, can lead to better decision-making in the future. For instance, when deciding on a new job offer, taking time to remember both the fulfilling moments and the struggles of past roles allows for a balanced comparison to guide the choice at hand. In essence, choice-supportive bias is a natural tendency, woven deeply into the fabric of human cognition. It highlights how our minds work to protect us from negative feelings associated with regret and self-doubt. The ability to focus on the positives can foster resilience and optimism, shaping how we approach future choices. By allowing ourselves to revisit our decisions and experiences, embracing both their ups and downs, we become better equipped to navigate the complexities of life. So next time you reflect on a choice you've made, consider the way your memories play with the narrative. Are you only seeing the highlights? Are there aspects you might want to look at again to ensure a clearer understanding of your choices? Recognizing how our minds can sometimes enhance the positive and diminish the negative can empower us to approach each decision with a more rounded perspective. In this way, we can cultivate a balanced approach to both our past decisions and the opportunities that await us ahead. As you ponder these concepts, remember that your experiences shape you, but so do your memories of them. It is the intricate dance between choice, memory, and emotion that enriches the journey we all embark upon in our lives. The next time you reflect on a past decision, embrace the complexity and appreciate the uniquely human capability to grow from every experience, both good and bad. The anchoring effect is a fascinating aspect of human psychology that influences the way we make decisions. It refers to our tendency to rely heavily on the first piece of information we encounter when evaluating options, even when that information may not be relevant or accurate. This mental shortcut can significantly shape our judgments and choices in various situations, from purchasing decisions to negotiations and beyond. Imagine you're in a store looking to buy a new smartphone. As you walk through the aisles, you see a prominent display for a brand new model priced at $99. Later, you find another smartphone that seems just as capable, but its price tag is $49. Because your brain has been anchored to the initial price of $99, you might perceive the second smartphone as a better deal, even if its actual value is less evident. In this case, the initial price serves as the anchor that frames your perception of the following options. This effect is not limited to products or prices. It extends into everyday life, including decision-making in professional settings. For example, during job negotiations, the initial salary offer can set the stage for all future discussions. If an employer proposes a starting salary of $0,000, that number becomes an anchor for the candidate's expectations, potentially skewing their perception of what constitutes a fair salary throughout the negotiation process. Even if the industry standard for the position suggests a higher salary, the anchor can have a powerful impact on what is deemed acceptable. The anchoring effect is often exploited in marketing and advertising strategies. Businesses frequently employ this psychological principle to create a sense of value or urgency. For instance, a retail store might showcase a regular price next to a, quote, discounted price. Seeing a higher regular price set the stage for the discounted price to seem more attractive, even if the discount is largely arbitrary. This strategy primes consumers to think they're making a smart decision by taking advantage of a perceived deal. The effect can also be observed in everyday conversations. When discussing a topic with someone, the first point raised often serves as a reference point for the entire discussion. If you're talking about vacation destinations, and someone suggests Hawaii as a first option, you might find yourself gravitating toward that idea when considering alternatives, regardless of how other options might appeal to you later on. Moreover, research in behavioral economics highlights how the anchoring effect can apply to uncertain environments, like predicting outcomes. For example, if you're asked to estimate the population of a city, and the first number you hear is 500,000, it can skew your estimate, leading you to suggest a number closer to that anchor, regardless of your actual knowledge of the city's size. This has implications for everything from market predictions to personal finance decisions. It's interesting to note that the anchoring effect can be mitigated by awareness. Understanding that initial information can unduly influence our judgments allows us to consciously evaluate decisions more critically. For instance, if you're aware of how anchors work, you might take a moment to research a product comprehensively instead of relying solely on the first number you see or hear. Another relatable example can be found in real estate. If a house initially hits the market at 0,000 and then is reduced to 50,000, potential buyers might perceive it as a fantastic opportunity due to the anchoring effect. They may overlook other comparable properties that may offer better value, sticking instead with their perception shaped by the initial listing price. In negotiations, establishing the first offer can be a strategic move. Anchoring can give you a psychological advantage when setting the tone of the discussion. Knowing this, some negotiators meticulously prepare for their opening bid to strategically influence the other party's decisions. The initial number isn't just a number, it becomes a point of reference that can sway the entire negotiation process. The anchoring effect isn't just about numbers and prices, though. It extends into other areas of judgment, including how we perceive opinions and beliefs. When we hear information linked to current events, the first piece of news can shape our understanding of the entire situation going forward. If the initial report suggests heightened national security threats, that perception can anchor our thoughts and feelings about safety, influencing how we react to subsequent news reports. In summary, the anchoring effect is a powerful psychological principle that affects many aspects of our daily decision-making. By recognizing how the first piece of information we encounter can shape our judgments, we can strive to make more informed choices. Whether shopping, negotiating, or simply evaluating options, being aware of this tendency enables us to break free from the constraints of the initial anchor and gain a clearer perspective. In doing so, we equip ourselves to make better decisions, navigating the complexities of life with a more balanced and comprehensive viewpoint. By understanding the mechanisms behind our thought processes, we empower ourselves to think critically and act wisely in a world laden with information. The Reciprocity Principle is a fascinating social norm that plays a crucial role in how humans interact with one another. At its core, it suggests that when someone does something for another, there is a natural inclination to return the favor. This principle is not just a simple matter of politeness. It is a fundamental aspect of human relationships, deeply embedded in our social fabric. Imagine this scenario. You are at a gathering, and someone offers you a glass of water. Instinctively, you might feel compelled to return that kindness in some way, perhaps by offering them a snack or helping them with a task later on. This simple exchange illustrates the reciprocity principle in action. It is a natural response that can be traced back to our evolutionary history, where cooperation and mutual aid were essential for survival. By helping one another, early humans increased their chances of survival and built strong communal bonds. The principle of reciprocity is evident in many aspects of life. For instance, consider the workplace. When a colleague takes the time to help you with a project or shares their expertise, you may feel motivated to assist them in return. This not only reinforces your relationship, but also creates a collaborative environment where people are more likely to support each other. In essence, reciprocity fosters a sense of community and teamwork, making organizations more effective. This principle also shows up in marketing and sales strategies. Businesses often employ tactics that leverage reciprocity to create goodwill with potential customers. For example, you might receive a free sample of a product. The intention behind this gesture is to spark a feeling of obligation. You might think, they gave me something for free. Perhaps I should consider buying from them. This strategic use of the reciprocity principle can lead to increased customer loyalty and trust. Moreover, the reciprocity principle extends beyond personal relationships in business. In broader societal contexts, it can influence charitable giving and community involvement. When individuals witness acts of kindness, such as someone volunteering at a homeless shelter or donating to a local cause, they may feel inspired to participate in similar activities. This wave of generosity creates a culture where helping others becomes the norm, reinforcing positive behaviors across communities. The reciprocity principle also ties into the concept of social exchange theory, which suggests that human relationships are formed and maintained based on a cost-benefit analysis. People tend to weigh the rewards and costs associated with their interactions. The principle of reciprocity helps tip the scales in favor of maintaining connections, as individuals are more likely to invest in relationships where they receive support and assistance in return. Interestingly, reciprocity is not always a straightforward exchange of equal value. Sometimes, the act of giving is more about the intention behind it than the tangible outcome. For instance, if someone gives you a compliment, you might feel a sense of obligation to acknowledge it positively, even if you do not feel the need to return a compliment immediately. This adds an emotional layer to the reciprocity principle, where the feelings generated by an act of kindness can lead to a chain of positive interactions. Another aspect worth considering is the concept of strategic reciprocity. Individuals may sometimes utilize this principle to further their own agendas. For example, in negotiation settings, one party might offer concessions with the expectation that the opposing party will reciprocate in kind. This can lead to complicated dynamics, as both sides attempt to balance favors and gains. While this can drive successful negotiations, it is essential to navigate carefully to ensure trust is maintained throughout the process. Moreover, the principle of reciprocity is influenced by cultural factors. Different societies may have varying expectations about how and when to reciprocate. In some cultures, refusing a gift can be seen as a sign of respect, while in others, immediate reciprocation is expected. These cultural nuances shape how individuals interpret and respond to acts of kindness, highlighting the diversity within the human experience. In conclusion, the reciprocity principle is a powerful social norm that permeates our daily interactions. It underscores the significance of mutual aid, collaboration, and community building. Whether in personal relationships, workplaces, marketing strategies, or societal engagement, the desire to reciprocate shapes our behaviors and cultivates connections. Recognizing and understanding the reciprocity principle can enhance both personal and professional relationships. It serves as a reminder that small gestures of kindness, even the simplest ones, can create ripples of positivity that extend far beyond the initial act. As humans, we are inherently social beings, and the reciprocity principle facilitates the bonds that unite us in our shared journey through life. Have you ever noticed how our choices are often influenced by the actions of others? This phenomenon is known as social proof, a concept that suggests we rely on the behaviors of those around us to guide our own actions, especially in uncertain situations. It operates on the idea that if many people are doing something, then it is likely the right thing to do. This response can be seen in various aspects of life, from simple everyday choices to major decisions. Imagine you are walking down a busy street, and you see a group of people staring at something. Your initial reaction might be to stop and look, even if you don't know what they are observing. This instinctive behavior reflects social proof. In this moment, the crowd's attention provides you with a cue, indicating that whatever they are focused on is worth noticing. Let's consider another example. In restaurants, you might notice that a packed dining room can attract more customers. When potential diners see that a place is busy, they often assume the food must be good. This idea is amplified by people feeling more confident in their choice if they see others enjoying a meal there. Essentially, the presence of others at the restaurant serves as a signal that the food is worth trying. Social proof also plays a crucial role in the digital age. Online reviews and ratings heavily influence consumer behavior. When browsing for a new book or gadget, many people glance at the number of stars and read comments left by others. A product with a multitude of positive reviews appears much more appealing. The collective opinion of prior users serves as a reference point, guiding new customers toward certain purchases. This reliance on other people's experiences can sway decisions significantly. Think about social media as another arena where social proof thrives. Our feeds are filled with trends that often start small but can quickly go viral based on how many people engage with them. A new dance challenge might gain traction simply because viewers see their friends or favorite influencers participating. The desire to fit in or be part of the latest trend can lead individuals to join in, mimicking the actions of others in pursuit of acceptance or recognition. In the realm of social interactions, social proof can also influence behaviors such as voting and participation in events. For instance, if someone observes their friends discussing a community meeting or rally, they might be more inclined to participate, thinking that their presence aligns with the group's values and commitment. The actions of others create a sense of legitimacy and urgency that encourages similar behaviors. This phenomenon is not limited to positive behaviors either. Negative social proof can also occur, where the lack of action by a group leads others to believe that inaction is acceptable. For example, if no one in a crowded area intervenes when someone needs help, bystanders may hesitate to act, thinking that their individual contribution is unnecessary because others are not participating. The power of social proof can be observed in marketing strategies as well. Advertisements often employ techniques that showcase how many people use a product or how popular it has become. Think about those catchy slogans that mention "Join thousands who already use our service" or "Don't miss out on the top-selling item." These phrases harness the influence of social proof, urging potential customers to take action based on the choices of others. Moreover, social proof can impact personal relationships. Many people find themselves drawn to groups or communities based on the behaviors they observe in others. If someone sees their peers engaging in certain hobbies or interests, they may feel compelled to join in as a way to connect and bond. This is particularly evident in shared activities like sports, where the enthusiasm of a group can motivate individuals to participate who might otherwise remain on the sidelines. Understanding social proof also invites us to reflect on our own behaviors. When we become aware that our actions might influence others, we can make more conscious choices. Small acts of kindness, for instance, can create a ripple effect as others witness and replicate these positive interactions. Being mindful of how our choices can serve as examples for those around us empowers us to contribute positively to our communities. In conclusion, social proof is a fascinating phenomenon that profoundly impacts our decisions and behaviors. From dining choices to online shopping, community involvement, and social interactions, we continuously look to others for guidance. Understanding this tendency allows us to recognize its influence in our lives and consider the implications it holds for our society. As we navigate the complexities of our social world, being aware of social proof can help us make informed choices while also encouraging us to set positive examples for others. Imagine walking through a bustling market filled with colorful stalls. You notice a long line at one particular booth, and your curiosity piques. What is everyone waiting for? You approach and discover that the vendor is selling a unique artisan bread, made with a rare blend of ancient grains. The sign indicates that there are only a few loaves available. Suddenly, the bread seems more appealing, not just because of its ingredients, but because of the scarcity surrounding it. The scarcity principle operates on a simple idea. When something is in limited supply, it tends to be more desirable. This concept explains why businesses sometimes create exclusive products or limited editions. Think of the latest smartphone release. Besides the high-tech features and sleek design that the phone offers, there's often a limited stock available for a brief period. This creates a sense of urgency among consumers, who may feel compelled to act quickly before the opportunity slips away. Scarcity works on the psychology of demand. When people perceive that something is rare or hard to obtain, their interest spikes. Imagine a popular brand releasing only a dozen pairs of a new sneaker. The anticipation builds as fans speculate about when and where it will be available. The excitement of owning something that few others can have taps into the desire to be part of an exclusive group. This principle is commonly employed in marketing strategies. For instance, think of a seasonal sale that highlights limited-time offers. Shoppers are often drawn to these promotions, thinking, if I don't buy this now, I might miss out on something great. The ticking clock creates a thrill, making items seem more precious simply because they may not be there tomorrow. In nature, the scarcity principle also plays a vital role. Consider the phenomenon of rare flowers that bloom only once every few years. When these flowers appear, nature enthusiasts and photographers swarm to witness their beauty, often traveling great distances. The rarity amplified the experience, creating memories that last a lifetime. Games and collectibles often utilize the scarcity principle too. Imagine the excitement surrounding the release of a limited edition comic book or trading card. Collectors often see these items as investments, knowing that their rarity can increase their value over time. The thrill of hunting down a scarce item adds an extra layer of engagement for fans and collectors alike. The influence of scarcity extends to food and dining experiences as well. Certain restaurants may offer exclusive menu items that are only available on specific days or during particular seasons. This limited availability can create buzz. Patrons will flock to experience these culinary delights, eager to savor a unique dish that others may not have. Consider a popular concert that only has a handful of tickets available. As the ticket sales commence, fans rush to secure their spot. The limited capacity heightens the event's appeal, making it more coveted simply because it's exclusive. The thought of attending a sold-out concert creates a sense of belonging among ticket holders, as they become part of something special. Scarcity taps into fundamental human emotions: desire, urgency, and fear of missing out. Marketers use this finely tuned approach to stimulate interest and drive sales. Whether it's a time-limited offer or a one-of-a-kind experience, the psychology of scarcity encourages us to act rather than hesitate. Understanding this principle can not only help in making informed purchasing decisions, but also offer insights into human behavior and motivation. In our daily lives, scarcity affects everything from the products we choose to the brands we support. We often gravitate toward businesses that create a sense of urgency around their offerings. When something is hard to get, it piques our interest, making us want to learn more, to engage deeper, and perhaps to make a purchase. Moreover, scarcity can create a unique bond between consumers and brands. For instance, a high-end fashion label might release an exclusive capsule collection made from limited quantities of exquisite materials. The consumers who successfully get their hands on these items feel a sense of pride and achievement, as they possess something rare that not everyone can have. This emotional connection often translates into brand loyalty, as people desire to be a part of that exclusivity again. As you ponder the implications of the scarcity principle, consider how it can influence not just what you buy, but how you perceive value in products and experiences. Next time you find yourself drawn to something that seems limited or exclusive, remember that this magnetic pull is not coincidental. It's a powerful psychological principle at work, shaping how we interact with the world around us. You may find that embracing the idea of rarity can lead to deeper appreciation for the things you choose, enriching your everyday experiences in unexpected ways. Have you ever found yourself in a store, looking at two similar products? Perhaps you were trying to decide between two brands of coffee, one known for its rich flavor and the other praised for its smoothness. Suddenly, a third option appears, which is neither appealing nor practical. This additional choice can significantly influence your decision-making process. This phenomenon is known as the Decoy Effect. The Decoy Effect occurs when consumers are presented with three options, where one option is asymmetrically dominated by another. Essentially, the third option is designed to steer your choice toward one of the other two. This strategy can be found in various contexts, from coffee shops to mobile phone plans. Imagine you are buying a new smartphone. You see two models, one priced at $00 and boasting fantastic camera quality, and the other at $00 with additional features like larger storage. Now, a third smartphone enters the scene, a model that has similar storage to the $00 one, but lacks the camera quality, yet is priced at $00. This third option, while unattractive at first glance, serves a purpose. It makes the $00 model appear to be a better deal, as you can now see that for just a $00 difference, you get considerably more value when compared to the decoy model. Retailers and marketers often utilize the decoy effect to boost sales. A simple menu in a restaurant may reveal this concept as well. Consider a situation where you have 3 options for desserts: a slice of cake for, a bowl of fruit for, and a gourmet cupcake for. The cupcake may seem expensive, but its presence can make the cake look like a better deal. When people see the cake, priced at, gains an edge as a more reasonable indulgence, encouraging more customers to opt for it instead of the healthier fruit option. The decoy effect plays on our perception of value. It hinges on the idea that our choices are not made in a vacuum. They are influenced by the context around them. By introducing a less appealing option, decision makers can nudge consumers toward a specific product by creating a frame of reference that highlights the value of one of the primary choices. Behavioral economists have studied the decoy effect extensively. In one famous experiment, researchers presented participants with 3 subscription options for an online magazine. They offered a web-only subscription for $9, a print subscription for $25, and a combined web and print subscription for $25 as well. The catch was that having the print-only option at the same price as the combined subscription rendered the print-only option unappealing. The result? A significant number of participants chose the combined subscription. This effect can also be observed in how we view options in more complex choices, such as choosing an insurance plan or selecting a travel package. For instance, if an insurance company presents 3 plans, basic, standard, and premium, the introduction of a moderately priced plan that offers far less value can persuade customers to select the standard plan because of the perceived benefits it offers compared to the decoy. Understanding the decoy effect can empower consumers. It encourages critical thinking about our choices and helps us realize that we are sometimes led by marketing strategies rather than our genuine preferences. Being aware of this phenomenon can lead to smarter decisions, whether we are in a shopping aisle or making bigger life choices. The decoy effect also highlights our underlying biases and how easily they can sway our decisions. Our inclination to seek value can make us susceptible to these marketing strategies, as we tend to compare options rather than focusing on what we truly want or need. By grasping this behavioral quirk, we can better navigate choices. In conclusion, the decoy effect serves as a fascinating insight into human behavior and decision-making. It reminds us that even our smallest choices are influenced by the context surrounding them. By recognizing the presence of potential decoys, we can approach our choices with greater awareness, allowing our true preferences to shine through. The next time you're faced with options, consider whether a seemingly irrelevant choice is nudging you toward a decision. Understanding this effect can bring clarity to your choices and enable you to make decisions that truly reflect your preferences and needs. The priming effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that shows how our thoughts and actions can be unconsciously influenced by prior exposure to different stimuli. Imagine you walk into a coffee shop and smell freshly brewed coffee. The rich aroma not only awakens your senses, but also triggers a cascade of thoughts related to warmth, comfort, and maybe even fond memories of meetings with friends over a cup of coffee. This initial experience subtly primes your mind, making you more receptive to similar cues that follow. To understand the priming effect better, let's consider an example involving words. Picture this. You are shown a list of words for just a few seconds, such as bread, butter, and toast. Later, when asked to complete the word to, you are more likely to say toast instead of an unrelated word like torn. This is because the earlier exposure to the word toast has triggered your mind to think along those lines. Moreover, priming can extend beyond words to include visual stimuli. Suppose you watch a film scene featuring a beautiful sunset. The colors, emotions, and feelings evoked by the sunset might prime your mood, making you more appreciative of the beauty in your surroundings throughout the rest of your day. Later on, when you see flowers blooming or birds fluttering about, you may find yourself feeling uplifted and more positive, thanks to the earlier visual experience. Priming does not require conscious effort. For example, if someone were to frequently hear the word kind, they may find themselves acting more compassionately in situations without even realizing it. This is because their brains have been primed to consider and respond to kindness in their environment. In marketing, advertisers often tap into the priming effect. Think about commercials that emphasize a feeling, like happiness tied to a product. When consumers associate a positive emotional experience with a brand, they're more likely to choose that brand when making a purchase decision later on. The ads may showcase smiling people enjoying the product, which subtly influences viewers to connect the product with joy. The priming effect can also take place in social contexts. For instance, if one spends time with people who talk positively about teamwork and collaboration, they may find themselves more inclined to cooperate with others, regardless of whether they consciously intended to do so. Conversing with people who embody certain traits can unconsciously influence one's behavior, creating a ripple effect in social dynamics. In cognitive psychology, researchers have extensively studied the priming effect using different types of stimuli. In one classic experiment, participants were shown a series of pictures, some of which depicted animals. Following this exposure, they were asked to categorize words as animals or non-animals. Remarkably, those who had viewed animal pictures were quicker to identify animal names. The stimuli they were exposed to earlier had unconsciously primed their responses. The implications are significant, not just for individuals, but for society as a whole. In educational settings, for example, understanding the priming effect could enhance teaching strategies. By showcasing positive role models and inspiring examples, educators can prime students to adopt similar behaviors and attitudes toward their learning. You can also find the priming effect in storytelling. Authors and filmmakers often use this technique to lead the audience's emotions. If a film introduces a character facing personal struggles early on, viewers are likely primed to empathize with this character's challenges throughout the storytelling. This can create a deeper connection between the audience and the narrative. In interpersonal relationships, priming can influence how people perceive one another. For instance, if someone receives positive affirmations or warmth from a friend, they may unconsciously respond with similar kindness to that friend and others around them. This spiral of positivity benefits everyone involved, illustrating how interconnected our responses can be. Even simple daily routines can be shaped by the priming effect. If you begin your day with a motivational quote or an inspiring podcast, you might find that your mood and attitude improve as you encounter various situations throughout your day. The initial positive exposure sets a tone that influences how you react and make decisions. As we delve deeper into the priming effect, it becomes clear that it not only applies to larger contexts, but also affects the minutiae of our lives. Even something as seemingly unrelated as a song playing in the background while we work could unconsciously sway our productivity or creativity. The idea that minor stimuli can shape our thoughts and behaviors adds another layer of complexity to human psychology. In summary, the priming effect is a compelling illustration of how our brains work in intricate, often unnoticed ways. From a simple word association to larger social behaviors, the influence of prior exposure is profound and pervasive. Recognizing the subtle, interconnected ways our experiences shape our thoughts and emotions can lead to a greater understanding of ourselves and those around us. Each moment of awareness is a step towards unlocking the potential hidden within the everyday influences that guide our actions, certainly making life a tapestry of intricate connections woven into our daily experiences without us even realizing it. Imagine you are driving along a winding road, the trees whizzing by and the sun peeking through the leaves. On your journey, you come across a fork in the road. One path is familiar, leading to a place you visited often, while the other is new and uncharted. Many people, faced with a similar choice, automatically choose the familiar route without much thought, often overlooking the potential of the unknown. This phenomenon isn't unique to road trips. It's a concept called confirmation bias, which influences our decision-making and perceptions in profound ways. Confirmation bias is like a pair of glasses that tints the world in a shade that matches our existing beliefs. When we hold a belief, whether it's about politics, health, or even our favorite hobbies, we tend to look for information and experiences that support that belief while ignoring or downplaying anything that contradicts it. This is not just a quirk of human nature. It plays a significant role in how we understand the world around us. Think about it. When you hear a news story that aligns with your political views, it's easy to give it your full attention, nod in agreement, and share it with your friends. On the flip side, if you come across a story that challenges your beliefs, you might dismiss it with a wave or find reasons to discredit it. This sketch illustrates how our minds work like filters, allowing in only the information that echoes our established ideas. This tendency goes beyond politics. Consider a health-related belief, such as the benefits of a specific diet. If you believe that a vegetarian diet is the healthiest choice, you are likely to seek out articles, studies, and testimonials that confirm this view. Meanwhile, you might disregard or question studies that highlight the advantages of including meat in one's diet. The upshot is that you end up with a skewed understanding of nutrition, one that may not reflect the entire spectrum of evidence. In everyday life, confirmation bias manifests in various ways. Suppose you are keen on buying a particular brand of car. When researching, you will likely come across reviews that praise the vehicle's reliability and performance. These reviews will reinforce your initial desire to purchase the car. However, you might overlook negative reviews that discuss issues with the model, leading you to make a choice based on partial information. In this situation, justification replaces balanced evaluation, and you may end up making a decision that lacks comprehensive insight. Moreover, the impact of confirmation bias can extend to our relationships. In interactions with others, we might focus on behaviors and comments that reinforce our opinions about them. If you have a colleague you believe is uncooperative, you may interpret their actions in a negative light while ignoring evidence of their positive contributions. This reinforces your initial opinion and can create a cycle where misunderstandings flourish, affecting teamwork and collaboration. Over time, confirmation bias can affect not just individual beliefs, but also collective thinking. When groups share a common belief, they can become echo chambers, amplifying their views while shutting out opposing opinions. This can be seen in various contexts, from social media to political factions, where discussions often devolve into arguments rather than constructive debates. In such environments, people become entrenched in their views, making it difficult to bridge gaps or find common ground. However, understanding confirmation bias opens up opportunities for growth. Once we recognize that our perceptions can be tinted by our beliefs, we can train ourselves to seek out diverse perspectives. Instead of exclusively focusing on information that supports our views, we can consciously look for contradictory evidence or engage in conversations with those who think differently. This not only enhances our understanding, but also fosters empathy and tolerance for differing opinions. To illustrate this, think about an explorer embarking on a journey to discover new lands. The explorer doesn't just stick to familiar routes. They venture into the unknown, driven by curiosity and the desire for a broader understanding. In our lives, becoming an explorer of ideas can mean taking the time to research perspectives that challenge our beliefs, or actively seeking dialogue with people from different backgrounds. This adventurous spirit can lead to richer, more nuanced views of the world, making us more informed and compassionate individuals. As you reflect on your thoughts and beliefs, consider taking an occasional detour from your usual path. Embrace the unexpected twists that come from exploring new ideas. By doing so, you not only expand your own horizons, but also contribute to a more open-minded and curious society, where the trees aren't just whizzing by, but rather each one, a potential lesson, adds to the landscape of understanding. Whether it's in personal beliefs, the opinions of others, or the narratives we encounter in our daily lives, let the journey of exploration begin, guided not by the familiar road of confirmation bias, but by the rich and varied terrain of genuine inquiry and understanding. Have you ever noticed that you tend to like certain songs or movies more after you've experienced them a few times? This phenomenon is part of what psychologists call the mere exposure effect. It's a fascinating aspect of human behavior that explains how familiarity can shape our preferences and attitudes. The mere exposure effect suggests that the more we are exposed to something, the more we tend to like it. This can apply to a variety of aspects in life, including people, places, music, art, and even food. For example, think about your favorite song. Often, the first time you hear a new song, you might feel indifferent or even dislike it. But after it plays several times on the radio or during some of your outings, you may find yourself humming along or scooping it up for your playlist. It's not that the song has changed, rather, your liking has grown simply because you've heard it more often. This effect is also noticeable in our social lives. When we meet new people, our initial reactions may vary. We might feel neutral, unsure, or even hesitant about someone we just met. However, as we see them repeatedly, such as at social gatherings, workplace meetings, or community events, our feelings can shift towards a positive direction. We begin to recognize their faces, understand their mannerisms, and appreciate their personalities. This familiarity can foster a sense of comfort and connection, leading us to develop a fondness for them that wasn't initially there. Consider this in the realm of advertising. Brands utilize this effect extensively. When we see a particular brand logo frequently, whether on billboards, social media, or commercials, we start feeling more familiar with it. Over time, that logo can evoke positive feelings without us even realizing it. We might choose that brand of cereal at the grocery store simply because it stands out to us, not necessarily because we've researched all our options. The mere exposure effect can even extend to our food preferences. If you think back to your childhood, there may have been foods that you disliked at first glance, perhaps due to their appearance or texture. Yet, after being exposed to these foods on the dinner table several times, you might have come to enjoy them. Familiarity often leads to acceptance, making the previously unappealing palatable. Interestingly, this effect works best with neutral or positively charged stimuli. For example, we'll grow to like a pleasant tune, but if we hear a jarring noise repeatedly, the effect can work in reverse. Our aversion may increase rather than decline. This highlights that familiarity alone is not enough. Context matters. A catchy melody will win your affection, whereas a harsh sound will not. Art is another domain where the mere exposure effect is incredibly relevant. Art lovers often find themselves gravitating towards artists they have encountered frequently in galleries or exhibitions. The more they see works from a particular artist, the more they may appreciate that artist's style and innovation. Familiar art can evoke emotional responses, comfort, and a sense of connection that might not exist if they had only seen that piece once or twice. This effect can also impact our purchasing behavior. For instance, when choosing between two products in a store, we are often drawn to the one we recognize. It could be a shampoo brand we've seen in countless ads, or a reach-for-the-shelf snack we've indulged in before. Our subconscious preference is often swayed by the simple fact that one choice is more familiar than the other, even when the other may be equally good or better. In relationships, the mere exposure effect plays a significant role as well. Friendships often blossom through repeated interactions and shared experiences. Imagine two colleagues who work in the same office. Initially, they may not think much of each other, but as they collaborate on projects, attend meetings together, or enjoy lunches, their relationship can evolve into a strong friendship. Each encounter makes them more familiar with one another, laying the groundwork for mutual affection and camaraderie. In summary, the mere exposure effect is a powerful psychological principle illustrating how familiarity impacts our preferences. Our repeated interactions with people, music, art, and even brands can significantly influence our feelings and choices. It shows us how the world around us can become more cherished through simple presence and exposure. By understanding this effect, we gain insight into our everyday decisions and the connections we forge with the world. So the next time you find yourself drawn to something new, consider how just a little familiarity might be shaping your feelings. Familiarity can create pathways to appreciation, demonstrating the beautiful interplay between exposure and preference in our lives. Have you ever found yourself finishing a movie you didn't enjoy just because you had already paid for the ticket? Or perhaps you continued eating at a restaurant long after you lost your appetite because you didn't want the money spent to go to waste. These experiences reflect a common human behavior known as the sunk cost fallacy. This fallacy occurs when individuals feel compelled to stick with an endeavor simply because they have already invested time, money, or effort into it. Understanding this phenomenon can help us make better decisions in various aspects of life. At its core, the sunk cost fallacy is an emotional response. When we invest in something, we develop a connection to it, and it becomes a part of our identity. For instance, consider someone who has spent years in a particular job. Despite feeling unfulfilled and restless, they may hesitate to leave because they have already invested so much time and effort into their career. This investment can create a sense of obligation or fear of loss, leading them to endure dissatisfaction rather than start anew. Imagine someone who buys a subscription plan for a streaming service with a fantastic catalog of shows. After a few months, they find that they hardly ever use it. Instead of canceling the subscription, they might justify keeping it because they have already spent money on it. This thought process can trap them in a decision that no longer serves their interests. Understanding this pattern can empower individuals to evaluate their choices based on present circumstances rather than past investments. In relationships, the sunk cost fallacy can also lead people to stay in situations that no longer bring them joy or fulfillment. A couple may find themselves stuck in a toxic cycle, feeling unable to separate because of the years they have spent together or the shared experiences they've cultivated. This emotional weight can cloud judgment, making it difficult to recognize that moving on could lead to happier and healthier futures. Have you ever wondered why some people continue to pour money into a failing business? Business owners might feel a strong urge to rescue their investment, believing that recouping losses is possible if they just invest a bit more. Yet, pouring good money after bad can lead to even greater financial woes, leaving them worse off than if they had cut their losses early on. It's essential to evaluate the viability of an endeavor based on current value and potential returns, rather than solely on previous investments. This fallacy can even extend to hobbies or projects. Picture someone who has spent countless hours working on a DIY home improvement project that has turned into a source of frustration. Despite wanting to abandon it for something more enjoyable, they may persist simply because they have already invested so much time and energy. Recognizing that it is okay to pivot or shift focus can create opportunities for more fulfilling experiences. Moreover, the sunk cost fallacy is often exploited in marketing and business strategies. Companies understand that consumers can be held captive by the investments they have made, leading them to continue purchases or subscriptions even when it may not be in their best interest. They strategically create incentives that bind the consumer to their product or service, making it increasingly challenging to walk away. To break free from the sunk cost fallacy, one must practice mindful decision-making. This involves regularly evaluating the worth of current investments and weighing them against potential future outcomes. It is helpful to ask oneself simple questions. Is this decision bringing me joy or satisfaction right now? What opportunities might be waiting for me if I choose to move in a different direction? Shifting focus from past investments to future potential can reveal new paths and possibilities. One technique to mitigate the sunk cost fallacy is involving a friend or family member in the decision-making process. Another person can offer an objective perspective and illuminate factors that the individual may not be able to see due to emotional attachment. Whether it's a career change, a relationship, or even a project, having a sounding board can provide clarity and help individuals assess the situation based on current realities. Another practical approach is setting clear and defined goals. By establishing criteria for evaluating ongoing investments, individuals can better assess whether they should continue their current path or change direction. In doing so, decisions can be more focused on future growth and satisfaction, rather than being weighed down by history. Ultimately, grasping the concept of the sunk cost fallacy can lead to more empowered and fulfilling life choices. Recognizing when attachment to past investments hinders present opportunities is a crucial skill. By embracing flexibility and understanding that it is normal to reevaluate decisions, individuals can free themselves from the constraints of prior commitments and embark on rewarding new ventures. Life is a journey filled with endless possibilities, and being able to adapt and change course is often the key to personal growth and happiness. So, next time you find yourself caught in the lingering grip of past investments, take a moment to reflect. The world is full of choices waiting to be explored, and sometimes the best decisions come from stepping away from what no longer serves you. The bandwagon effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that can be observed in various aspects of human behavior. Essentially, it refers to the tendency for individuals to adopt certain behaviors, beliefs, or opinions simply because they perceive that a large number of other individuals are doing the same. This tendency can be seen in many areas, from politics and consumer behavior to social movements and technological trends. To illustrate this concept, consider the world of social media. When a new trend emerges, you might notice that as soon as a few influential figures or celebrities participate in it, a wave of followers rapidly jumps on board. This could be seen with fashion trends, challenges, or even specific hashtags. The moment a particular song becomes popular, for instance, people may gravitate toward it, often claiming it as one of their favorites, even if, prior to the trend, they had never heard it. The excitement of being part of the crowd, of not wanting to miss out, can be a powerful motivator. Another example can be found in the political arena. During elections, candidates may experience a significant boost in support simply because they are perceived as being the frontrunners. Voters often want to align themselves with the winner or those they believe are gaining momentum. This creates a scenario where people may support a candidate more due to their popularity rather than their policies or qualifications. The idea of being part of something larger than oneself is compelling, leading individuals to jump on the bandwagon of popular support. In consumer behavior, the bandwagon effect often plays a role in how products are marketed and sold. Consider the case of a new tech gadget. When it is first launched, a few early adopters showcase it and rave about its features. Their excitement creates hype, and before long, everyone wants to buy it, believing they are missing out if they don't join in. The sheer volume of people buying and enjoying the product fuels a collective sentiment that reinforces its desirability, often overlooking individual preferences or needs. This effect is not limited to fleeting trends. It can also influence long-term beliefs and societal norms. For example, if a certain lifestyle becomes widely accepted, those who previously might have disagreed or maintained a different way of living may shift their views to align with the majority. This happens in countless aspects, from diet choices to fitness routines, showcasing how powerful social influence can be. Additionally, the bandwagon effect can have implications in issues such as charity and philanthropy. When a cause garners a lot of attention, people are more likely to donate or participate. Let's say a particular charity campaign gains traction on social media. As more and more people share their contributions or the impact it has made, others feel encouraged to join in, not wanting to be left behind. The initial wave of support enhances its visibility, creating a self-reinforcing loop of participation. But why do we experience this phenomenon? There are several psychological reasons behind it. One major reason is social proof, a concept where people look to the behavior and actions of others to determine what they should do, especially in ambiguous situations. If others are taking action, we often feel compelled to follow suit, believing that their choices are a blueprint for making our own decisions. Another reason is the fear of exclusion. The desire to be part of a group and to fit in drives individuals to conform. People tend to heavily value social connections and acceptance. In environments where there is safety and conformity, individuals may sacrifice their own opinions or desires to align with the group, avoiding the discomfort of standing apart. Moreover, the bandwagon effect can also accentuate polarization in beliefs. When large groups adopt extreme views, it becomes increasingly difficult for individuals to voice dissenting opinions, leading to a greater divide. People within these echo chambers may become more entrenched in their beliefs, sidelined by the overwhelming majority, further fueling the phenomenon. Interestingly, the bandwagon effect demonstrates that human decision-making is often influenced more by social dynamics than by individual reasoning. Recognizing this tendency can help foster awareness of how group dynamics shape behaviors and beliefs. It encourages a more mindful approach to decision-making, particularly in contexts where social influence is strong. In conclusion, the bandwagon effect is a powerful and prevalent force in human society. It demonstrates how closely our actions and beliefs can be tied to those of others. Whether it's hopping on the latest trend, supporting a popular candidate, or adopting a lifestyle shift, understanding this effect can offer valuable insights into human behavior. It serves as a reminder of the impact that social environments have on the choices we make, illuminating the complexity of group influence in shaping our world. Loss aversion is a fascinating concept in behavioral psychology and economics that explains why people tend to prefer avoiding losses over acquiring equivalent gains. Imagine you're standing in front of two doors. Behind one door is a prize of $100, and behind the other door is a loss of $100. Most people will feel much more apprehensive about losing that $100 than excited about the potential gain. This powerful instinct often shapes our decisions in everyday life, from financial choices to personal relationships. The phenomenon was first introduced by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky in the late 1970s. Their research revealed that losses weigh heavier on our minds than equivalent gains. According to their findings, losing $100 feels psychologically more painful than the joy we derive from gaining $100. In fact, the emotional impact of a loss is often about 2 to 3 times stronger than that of a gain. This could explain why people sometimes make conservative choices or avoid risks entirely, even when taking a chance could lead to a significant benefit. Consider the world of investing. Many investors would rather hold on to a losing stock, hoping it will recover, instead of selling it and accepting the loss. This behavior stems from the fear of loss. It feels more painful to acknowledge that loss than it is to cling to the possibility of future recovery, however unlikely that may be. This leads to what is known as the sunk cost fallacy, where one continues to invest in a failing project simply because they have already invested resources. The impact of loss aversion can also be observed in our daily choices. For instance, consider a promotion at work. You might be offered a new position with a higher salary, but it requires you to relocate, which might mean losing connections and breaking from comfort zones. The anxiety of losing those relationships can make you hesitant to embrace the opportunity. This instinctive love for the familiar often outweighs the potential benefits of a new job. In the realm of consumer behavior, loss aversion can influence purchasing decisions. Promotions that frame a sale as a limited-time offer can create a sense of urgency. If you see a sign that says, "You could lose out on a 20% discount if you wait," the fear of losing that discount can push consumers to buy immediately. Conversely, if the same promotion were framed as, "Enjoy a 20% discount today," the urgency might not have the same effect. The way choices are presented can significantly alter how decisions are made, often playing heavily on the fear of missing out or suffering a loss. Loss aversion also impacts our interpersonal relationships. People tend to remember negative experiences, such as arguments or betrayals, much more vividly than positive interactions. This can lead to conflicts and misunderstandings in friendships, families, and romantic relationships. When a disagreement arises, the emotional weight of the negative experience can overshadow the many positive moments shared between individuals, making forgiveness and resolution more challenging. In sports, loss aversion can be observed in the strategies of teams and players. Coaches might opt for a conservative play style to avoid making mistakes, rather than taking risks that could lead to a win. This playing not to lose mentality can sometimes result in a lack of excitement and creativity on the field. Athletes might become overly cautious, fearing the consequences of failure more than they embrace the thrill of trying something new that could lead to victory. Recognizing loss aversion can empower individuals to make more conscious choices. By acknowledging that these feelings of loss can cloud judgment, people can learn to focus more on potential gains instead of fixating on the fear of loss. It can be beneficial to evaluate decisions from a different perspective. Instead of viewing risks in terms of what might be lost, it might be more enlightening to focus on what is to be gained. In the business world, loss aversion can also affect negotiations. For instance, during a negotiation, parties may become entrenched in their positions, hesitant to concede any ground out of fear of losing face or reputation. Skilled negotiators often use loss aversion to their advantage, framing situations in ways that highlight potential losses for the opponent, pushing them toward a more favorable agreement. In personal finance, understanding loss aversion can lead to more rational decision-making when it comes to saving and investing. Educating oneself about the nature of risk and reward can help mitigate the instinctual fear of loss. Developing a focus on long-term goals rather than short-term fluctuations in wealth can also prove beneficial. Moreover, loss aversion can be a driving force for innovation and progress. The fear of losing out on opportunities or falling behind can inspire people to push their limits, pursue their passions, and strive for excellence. It is often this instinct that encourages entrepreneurs to take that leap into starting their own business, overcoming the fear of potential failure by envisioning the possibilities of success. In summary, the concept of loss aversion is a powerful psychological principle that influences a broad spectrum of decisions in our lives. From financial markets to personal relationships, the tendency to prioritize avoiding losses over acquiring gains plays a significant role in shaping behaviors and choices. Understanding this principle can provide valuable insights into our actions, allowing us to make more informed and balanced decisions. By embracing opportunities while being aware of our tendency to fear loss, we can navigate through life with greater confidence and clarity. Pacing and leading is a fascinating concept often used in communication, psychology, and even sales techniques. It revolves around the idea of establishing rapport with another person by first matching their behavior and then gently guiding them toward your perspective or desired outcome. This approach can be incredibly effective, whether you're trying to build trust in a conversation, motivate a friend, or persuade someone to see your point of view. Let's consider the first part of this concept, pacing. Pacing involves observing another person's state. This could include their body language, tone of voice, or even the words they choose. For example, if you're speaking with someone who appears relaxed and speaks in a calm tone, adopting a similar posture and tone can create a sense of connection. It shows the other person that you understand them, and it can encourage them to lower their defenses. This doesn't mean mimicking them exactly, but rather aligning subtly with their style. Imagine you are in a coffee shop, and you notice your friend is a bit anxious. They are tapping their fingers on the table and speaking rapidly. If you match their energy by speaking a little faster, and maybe even tapping your own fingers slightly, you create a bridge between your states. It shows empathy. You might even add a statement that resonates with their feelings, such as, "I can see you've got a lot on your mind today." This acknowledgement validates their feelings and can encourage more open communication. Once you have established this rapport through pacing, the next step is leading. Leading involves gently guiding the other person to your perspective. This must be done carefully and authentically, as being too abrupt can break the connection you've just built. After matching their state, you'll want to introduce your ideas. You can start to change your tone to a more soothing or assertive style, depending on the context, which invites them to follow your lead. For instance, after you've paced your anxious friend, you could suggest a shift in the conversation. Say they are worried about an upcoming presentation. You could transition by first acknowledging their concerns, then suggesting, "How about we talk about one thing you are excited to present?" Focusing on that could lighten your mood. By introducing a more positive angle, you lead them in a different direction, gently persuading them to think about their upcoming presentation in a new light. Using examples can also enhance your leading. Share a personal experience similar to what they are feeling. You might say, "I once felt the same way about delivering a presentation. I remember how nervous I was, but I found that taking a few deep breaths and focusing on a key point made a difference." This sharing not only reinforces your connection, but also exhibits that it's okay to feel nervous, and that there is a way through it. Another powerful approach in this process is to utilize questions. Instead of making statements, ask questions that encourage the other person to think differently. If the conversation is heavy with stress, you might ask, "What's one aspect of your presentation you feel confident about?" This focuses their attention on something positive and allows them to explore their feelings without feeling overwhelmed. Maintaining authenticity throughout this process is crucial. People are often quick to sense when someone is being insincere or manipulative. Ensure that your pacing and leading come from a genuine place of care or interest. If your body language and facial expressions align with your words, it's more likely that the other person will feel safe to follow your lead. The pacing and leading technique can also be beneficial in more formal settings, such as negotiations or team meetings. For example, in a meeting where opinions differ, listening carefully to others and reflecting their ideas before presenting your own can create a collaborative atmosphere. You might say, "I understand you believe that option A has many benefits, and it's important we consider those. However, I believe that option B may provide even greater long-term advantages." By acknowledging their perspective, you build trust before progressing to your viewpoint. In personal relationships, pacing and leading can enhance connection and communication. Suppose you notice your partner seems upset after a long day. You could start by commenting on their mood, saying something like, "It looks like you've had a tough day. Want to talk about it?" This shows empathy, and once they begin to express their feelings, you can lead the conversation toward potential solutions, asking things like, "What's one thing that could help you feel better right now?" Overall, pacing and leading is a valuable skill in fostering better communication. By first connecting with others through pacing and then guiding them toward your perspective with authentic leading, you can enhance interactions and create deeper relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues. It's all about understanding another person's state, reflecting it back, and then helping them to embark on a journey toward a more constructive and positive outlook. With practice, this skill can become a natural part of how you interact with the world, leading to more meaningful connections in everyday life. Imagine walking through a bustling marketplace, your eyes scanning the colorful displays when a vibrant sign catches your attention. It boldly proclaims an irresistible deal, promising the latest smartphone at a fraction of its usual price. You feel excitement bubbling within you as you envision yourself owning that sleek device. But as you approach the display, you notice something unexpected. The deal is only available for a specific model, one that is significantly less desirable and perhaps outdated compared to the one you had envisioned. This is the essence of the bait-and-switch tactic, a psychological maneuver often employed in various industries. It involves presenting a tempting offer that draws potential customers in, only to replace it with an option that is typically less favorable. This tactic is not confined to just retail. It can be found in advertising, real estate, and even online marketing. The strategy relies heavily on the allure of a seemingly great offer, one that captivates the interest of the consumer. When we see something that appeals to us, whether it's an incredible discount, a unique product, or an exclusive service, our brains trigger excitement and desire. This prospect can often cloud our judgment, leading us to overlook key details that might otherwise raise our skepticism. Consider the world of online shopping. You might encounter an advertisement featuring a designer handbag at an unprecedented sale price. The image is striking, and the proposition sounds too good to miss. However, upon clicking the link, you may find that the offer has certain restrictions, or that the handbag available at that price is of a lesser quality, perhaps a style or color that does not appeal to you. Here, the initial lure fades, revealing a reality that doesn't live up to the expectations set by the advertisement. The effectiveness of bait and switch can be attributed to how our minds process information. The initial bait captures our attention, activating our emotions and desires. As we engage with the offer, we often rationalize our decisions based on the initial excitement, leading us to consider the less favorable alternative rather than stepping back to evaluate the situation critically. In many cases, businesses leverage this tactic because it can drive traffic and conversion rates. While the bait and switch might seem like a clever marketing strategy, it can also lead to frustration among consumers. This dissatisfaction may result in a loss of trust, prompting them to seek alternatives in the future or even share their negative experiences with others. Imagine a scenario involving a car dealership. You enter, drawn by an ad for an incredible deal on a popular model. Upon arrival, however, you discover that the model you sought is sold out, but the dealer encourages you to consider an older model with very different features. You find yourself in a position where you have to weigh the pros and cons, all while feeling slightly misled by the initial offer. Psychologically speaking, bait and switch tactics can be quite impactful, as they prey on our natural tendencies to go after what excites us. This can be likened to how animals are attracted to food that looks colorful and appealing, but may not be as nutritious as it appears. Just as animals may fall for brightly colored bait, consumers may overlook essential details, allowing themselves to be swayed by the excitement of the initial offer. As a consumer, being aware of these tactics can enhance decision-making. It's essential to approach deals with a discerning eye. Taking a step back to evaluate an offer critically can spare you from potential disappointment. Researching products or reading reviews may provide clarity and help you separate genuine deals from marketing fluff. Equally important is understanding the ethical implications of bait and switch tactics. Many industries face scrutiny for employing misleading practices. Regulations often exist to protect consumers from such tactics, pushing businesses to establish transparent and honest marketing strategies. Ultimately, this contributes to a healthier marketplace, where consumers can trust that the offers they encounter are genuine. In conclusion, the bait and switch tactic serves as a compelling illustration of the complexities of human psychology and marketing. By recognizing how the initial allure can distort our perceptions, we empower ourselves to navigate the marketplace with greater awareness. Next time you spot an enticing offer, take a moment to consider what lies behind it. You might just discover that the real value comes from informed choices, rather than a moment of excitement. Imagine a busy day at a cafe. You walk in, take a moment to glance at the menu, and notice a barista in a crisp white shirt and a name tag. This barista, with a confident smile, recommends the new mocha latte. Instantly, you feel a pull towards that drink. Why is that? It's because of the authority bias, a powerful force that shapes your choices, often without you even realizing it. The authority bias is the tendency to comply with the opinions or directives of individuals we perceive as authority figures. This phenomenon is deeply rooted in human psychology, influencing our actions in various aspects of life, from everyday decisions to significant personal and professional choices. Understanding this bias not only sheds light on human behavior, but also reveals how our society functions. Consider the influence of professionals like doctors or teachers. When a physician recommends a specific treatment or a particular medication, there's a good chance you'll trust their judgment. Their training, expertise, and the credibility associated with their profession create a sense of authority that can sway your decision, even if you might have reservations. Similarly, educators often inspire students simply by virtue of their positions, directing how learners perceive a subject or approach challenges. In workplaces, authority bias plays a significant role as well. When a manager suggests a strategy, teams are more likely to back the idea, assuming that the person in charge has the knowledge and experience to make the right call. This can lead to innovation, but it can also stifle creativity if everyone simply agrees without questioning or considering alternative perspectives. The same can happen in project meetings, where the loudest voice or the highest rank dictates the conversation. It shows how critical thinking might take a back seat when deference to authority is involved. Now, Think about social media and the figures we follow. Influencers often establish their authority through knowledge, charisma, or a particular lifestyle that attracts followers. When they endorse products or share opinions, the impact can be enormous. Fans trust their judgment, influenced by the aura of authority they project. This is particularly potent when such endorsements align with our desires or interests, making us more likely to act on their suggestions. One fascinating example of the authority bias can be seen in the famous Milgram experiment from the 1960s. Participants were led to believe they were administering electric shocks to another individual, who was actually an actor, while following instructions from an authoritative figure in a lab coat. Many participants continued to deliver shocks, showing just how powerful the influence of authority can be, even in morally ambiguous situations. While this study raises ethical questions, it illustrates how the presence of authority can override individual moral judgment. However, authority bias isn't always negative. In situations involving safety, for instance, trusting authoritative figures like firefighters during an emergency is crucial. Their expertise and training provide guidance that can save lives. In these instances, placing trust in authority can lead to well-informed, life-saving decisions. Yet, it's also essential to approach authority with a critical perspective. In some cases, the authority one possesses may not stem from genuine expertise, but from social influence or sheer charisma. Think about historical figures or politicians whose words have drastically affected society. The impact of authority can be a double-edged sword, capable of guiding us toward positive choices or leading us down harmful paths when we accept everything at face value. To navigate the complexities of authority bias, developing critical thinking skills becomes vital. When faced with an authority figure's opinion, it's beneficial to consider the context of their expertise. Are they knowledgeable about the topic they're discussing? Is there evidence to support their claims? By maintaining a healthy skepticism, you can avoid being swept along by the tide of influence and make informed decisions that align with your values. Also, be mindful of how authority is portrayed in everyday life. In advertisements, for example, marketers cleverly use authority figures like doctors or celebrities. Their endorsement is meant to instill trust in a product, ensuring that consumers feel confident in their purchase. Being aware of this tactic can empower you as a consumer, enabling you to make choices based on informed preferences rather than just being swayed by perceived authority. The authority bias also impacts our social interactions. Think about how people might gravitate toward leaders in group settings. Charismatic individuals who display confidence and assertiveness often take charge, guiding the direction of discussions simply because of their presence. This can enhance group dynamics or, conversely, suppress contributions from quieter members, limiting the richness of ideas exchanged. In academic settings, the authority of the instructor can shape students' understanding. Engaging respectfully with differing opinions from established voices can foster an environment where learning thrives. When teachers encourage debate and critical analysis, they empower students to develop their viewpoints rather than simply conforming to what's presented. Collaborating with authority in a constructive way enhances the educational experience and prepares students for their own future roles as informed citizens. As we navigate the realm of authority, recognizing our biases can lead to more thoughtful decisions, whether in our personal lives, at work, or in public discourse. The more aware we become of authority bias, the better equipped we are to question, analyze, and make choices that truly reflect our interests and values, rather than simply mirroring what those in power suggest. So, the next time you find yourself influenced by someone in a position of authority, take a moment to reflect on that interaction. Ask yourself what led you to align with their viewpoint. By doing so, you'll develop a deeper understanding of your decision-making process and the subtle influences that shape the choices you make in life. Understanding the authority bias is not just about recognizing it. It's about harnessing that knowledge to empower ourselves and engage with the world in a more discerning way. Gaslighting is a term that has gained considerable attention in recent years, often used to describe a specific form of psychological manipulation. It occurs when one person attempts to create doubt in another person's mind, causing them to question their own perceptions, memories, and even their sanity. Understanding gaslighting techniques can shed light on this complex dynamic, as it often occurs in personal relationships, workplaces, and social interactions. One of the primary techniques used in gaslighting is denial. A gaslighter may outright deny events or actions they have taken, even when the victim has clear evidence. For instance, If someone makes an inappropriate remark, the gaslighter may insist that it never happened, leaving the other person to feel confused and uncertain. This tactic effectively makes the victim doubt their memory, leading them to question their own judgment. Another common strategy is misdirection. Gaslighters may shift the focus from their own misdeeds to the victim's behavior, often labeling them as overly sensitive or irrational. For example, if one partner forgets an important date but tries to brush it off, they might accuse their other half of being too controlling or demanding. This not only redirects the conversation but also instills a sense of guilt in the victim, making them second-guess their feelings. Maximizing the victim's emotions is also a frequent tactic in gaslighting. The manipulator may provoke emotional responses and then use those reactions against the victim. Suppose a gaslighter instigates a conflict, and when the victim expresses frustration or sadness, they accuse them of being unstable or overly emotional. By doing this, the gaslighter positions themselves as the level-headed party, while undermining the victim's reality. Furthermore, gaslighters often utilize isolation as a method of control. By distancing the victim from friends, family, or support systems, they can create an environment where the victim feels increasingly reliant on the gaslighter for validation and understanding. An example of this might involve subtly discouraging the victim from spending time with others, perhaps by criticizing their friends or suggesting they are a bad influence. Over time, this isolation can erode the victim's confidence and support network. Gaslighting can also take the form of trivializing. In this tactic, the manipulator belittles the victim's thoughts and feelings, making them seem unimportant or exaggerated. For instance, if a person expresses discomfort about a particular situation, the gaslighter might respond with, "You're making a big deal out of nothing," thereby invalidating the victim's experience. This makes the victim question whether their feelings are legitimate, leading them to suppress their emotions. A slightly more subtle form of gaslighting is the use of confusion. This often involves the gaslighter presenting convoluted reasoning or conflicting messages. If a gaslighter frequently changes their story or provides inconsistent information, the victim may find it challenging to discern the truth. For instance, they might say one thing one day and completely contradict themselves the next, leaving the victim feeling bewildered and uncertain about what to believe. In some cases, gaslighters will employ a technique known as projection. This involves attributing their negative behaviors or feelings to the victim. A gaslighter might engage in deceitful activities while accusing the victim of being untrustworthy or secretive. This strategy serves to deflect attention from their actions and place doubt in the victim's mind about their own integrity. Additionally, gaslighters may utilize silent treatment as a way to manipulate others. By withdrawing communication and affection, they can induce feelings of anxiety and desperation in the victim. This method not only punishes the victim, but also reinforces the gaslighter's control. The victim may feel compelled to reestablish communication and appease the gaslighter, further entrenching their position. Victims of gaslighting often endure a cycle of confusion and self-doubt, leading to a diminished sense of self-worth. Many experience a significant impact on their mental health, facing feelings of anxiety, depression, and self-blame. It is important to recognize these signs, as awareness can empower individuals to reclaim their reality. Gaining clarity in situations involving gaslighting requires building a strong support system. Engaging with trusted friends or family can provide crucial perspective and validation. Keeping a journal of events and feelings can help victims track inconsistencies and affirm their experiences. Ultimately, understanding gaslighting techniques is essential in recognizing and addressing manipulation. By shedding light on these dynamics, individuals can better protect themselves and assert their reality. Once awareness is achieved, it becomes easier to dismantle the harmful patterns that may arise in relationships, leading to healthier and more supportive connections. This understanding not only empowers victims but also promotes a greater awareness of mental health and emotional well-being in various aspects of life. Cognitive dissonance is an intriguing psychological phenomenon that many of us encounter in our daily lives, often without even realizing it. This mental discomfort arises when we find ourselves holding two or more conflicting beliefs, ideas, or values. Imagine a situation where you cherish the idea of living a healthy lifestyle, advocating for nutritious eating and regular exercise. However, at the same time, you indulge in a rich dessert, knowing it goes against your beliefs. This inconsistency can create an unsettling feeling that compels you to resolve the conflict between your actions and your convictions. One of the classic and widely cited examples of cognitive dissonance comes from a study involving college students and smoking. Picture this: a student who understands the health dangers associated with smoking, yet continues to smoke. Faced with the dissonance between their actions and their knowledge, this individual might cope by rationalizing their behavior. They may tell themselves that everyone has to die of something, or that their smoking is a stress relief, thus reducing the mental discomfort caused by the conflicting beliefs. Cognitive dissonance doesn't merely pertain to individual behaviors. It can extend to the way we engage with society and view our principles in contrast to societal norms. For example, someone might believe in preserving the environment while simultaneously driving a gas-guzzling vehicle. The resulting dissonance could lead them to justify their choice, perhaps asserting that it's necessary for my job, or I can't afford an electric car right now. This self-justification serves as a mental strategy to alleviate the tension created by the conflict between their environmental beliefs and their current lifestyle. Furthermore, cognitive dissonance can significantly influence our decisions. Imagine you're in a store, deliberating between two brands of running shoes. After choosing one, you might feel a twinge of regret as you recall the features of the other pair that appealed to you. To reduce the dissonance, you could focus on the positive aspects of your chosen pair, emphasizing their comfort and design, while downplaying the drawbacks of the other choice, which now seems less favorable. This adjustment not only brings comfort, but also solidifies your decision in your mind. The power of cognitive dissonance doesn't stop there. It also influences our social interactions and group dynamics. For instance, think about a group of friends who are actively supporting a cause, such as animal rights. If one member of the group learns they are unknowingly contributing to animal cruelty through their food choices, this dissonance might lead them to change their dietary habits, or, alternatively, to reject the evidence that suggests their choices are harmful. Typically, people will strive to maintain consistency between their beliefs and actions. Thus, when faced with uncomfortable truths, they may choose to ignore or minimize them. Interestingly, cognitive dissonance can be a powerful driver for personal growth and change. When individuals confront these internal conflicts, they may find themselves motivated to adjust their behaviors or beliefs. For instance, a person who has long held prejudiced views might be exposed to diverse perspectives that challenge their understanding. The discomfort arising from this dissonance can prompt them to reflect, engage in new educative experiences, or seek out relationships that reshape their beliefs. Let's take a moment to explore how cognitive dissonance plays out in the realm of consumer behavior. Marketers often understand this psychological principle, leveraging it to encourage brand loyalty. When customers buy a premium product and later discover it does not perform as expected, they may experience dissonance. To counteract this discomfort, they might create justifications, such as, I needed to invest in quality, or this product aligns with my personal image. By reinforcing their choice, they not only mitigate their dissonance, but also strengthen their connection with the brand. In summary, cognitive dissonance serves as a window into the intricacies of our belief systems and decision-making processes. It manifests in various aspects of life, from our personal choices and consumption patterns to our interactions with others. When faced with contradictions, we often find myriad ways to navigate this mental discomfort, whether through rationalization, avoidance, or embracing change. The interplay of thoughts and emotions in response to cognitive dissonance reflects the remarkable complexity of the human mind. Understanding this concept not only invites us to consider our internal conflicts, but also encourages us to engage in self-reflection and growth. As we navigate our beliefs and actions, cognitive dissonance ultimately assists us in shaping a more cohesive and authentic sense of self. In the world of psychology, understanding how people interact and negotiate can often reveal surprising tactics. One such intriguing method is known as the foot-in-the-face technique. This remarkable strategy cleverly combines elements from two related concepts called foot in the door and door in the face. To begin, let's explore the foot-in-the-door technique. Imagine you ask a friend to help you move a piece of furniture. This initial request, while it might seem small, sets the stage for something larger. Once your friend agrees, you then ask for additional help with items scattered throughout your home. Because they already committed to helping you in a smaller way, they are more likely to agree to the larger request too. People tend to maintain consistency in their actions, and agreeing to the small request often leads them to feel obligated to comply with the next, bigger request. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, we have the door-in-the-face technique. Here you might start with a large request, one that is intentionally overwhelming. Perhaps you begin by asking your friend to help you move all day long. This initial request is so substantial that it's likely to be met with a swift no. However, following this, you would propose a much smaller request, like just helping to carry that one piece of furniture for an hour. This contrast between the overwhelming initial request and the more reasonable second request creates a perception of compromise, making it more likely that your friend will agree to the second request. Foot in the face cleverly merges these strategies. In this approach, the individual starts with a large, unreasonable request, aiming to get a no in response. They then follow up with a smaller, more reasonable request. Combining the two not only creates a sense of obligation, but also plays with the idea of expectation and relief. When given a stark choice between something extreme and something manageable, the second option begins to feel like a relief or an opportunity for the other person to save face. Consider this in a real-world context. Imagine a charity asking for donations. They might first approach potential donors with a bold request, like asking for a significant, year-long commitment of money. When potential donors turn them down, they then pivot and ask for a much smaller, one-time contribution. The stark comparison from a lofty contribution to a minimal one often makes the second request seem like a good deal. It's easier, more manageable, and feels charitable without significant commitment. The effectiveness of foot in the face is rooted in psychological principles, including social proof and reciprocity. After hearing about the large request and then being presented with a smaller one, individuals feel they are making a choice, which can enhance their willingness to comply. The process feels like a negotiation, where they have gained the upper hand by choosing the lesser commitment, thus inadvertently strengthening their bond with the requester. This tactic isn't simply relegated to informal settings. Its applications are profound in fields like marketing and negotiation. In sales, marketers may use this hybrid approach to draw customers in with an extravagant offering. Upon an initial rejection or hesitation, they pivot and present a more appealing, budget-friendly alternative. This not only keeps the potential customer engaged, but also nurtures a sense of fulfillment by being part of what feels like an empowered decision. Interestingly, the foot-in-the-face technique has been shown to be effective across cultural boundaries, tapping into universal human behaviors and decision-making processes. This suggests a fascinating area of study for psychologists and marketers alike, as they delve deeper into intercultural interactions and the nuances of compliance. While it's essential to use these techniques ethically and responsibly, understanding foot in the face can enhance one's ability to communicate effectively. Recognizing the dynamics of requests in human interaction not only enriches personal interactions, but also hones strategic thinking in various professional environments. Whether you are negotiating a contract, persuading a friend, or even seeking donations for a cause, the insights gained from studying this technique can be valuable tools in your toolkit. In conclusion, foot in the face represents a fascinating blend of psychological principles at work, demonstrating the intricate ways in which we navigate human relationships and negotiations. By skillfully managing expectations and perceptions, this technique allows individuals to engage one another in meaningful ways, turning a simple request into a potent tool for influence. Whether in casual conversations or significant negotiations, understanding this hybrid tactic can greatly enhance your communication skills and relationship-building efforts. Reverse psychology is a fascinating technique that plays with human psychology in a unique way. It involves encouraging someone to do something by suggesting the opposite of what you actually want them to do. This method relies on the natural human tendency to assert control and exercise independence, particularly when faced with direct requests or rules. By suggesting the contrary, you create a subtle push against that resistance, guiding them toward the desired action without them even realizing it. Imagine a scenario in a family setting. A parent wants their child to clean their room. Instead of directly asking the child to tidy up, the parent could say, "You probably wouldn't want to clean your room. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in a mess?" This approach might trigger the child's instinct to prove their parent wrong. In this case, the child may feel a burst of motivation to tidy up, simply to assert their independence and show that they can indeed keep their space clean, even if they initially didn't want to. This method can also be very effective in social situations. Think about a friend who is hesitant to join a group outing. Instead of insisting they come along, you might say, "You probably wouldn't enjoy hanging out with us anyway, we'll just be having fun without you." The reverse psychology here is clear. Your friend may feel compelled to join, just to show they are indeed fun-loving and sociable, transforming their initial reluctance into excitement. In conversations with peers, reverse psychology can help ease tensions or disagreements. If two coworkers are clashing over a project, and one is unwilling to compromise, the other might say, "I guess it's fine if we go with your idea. I mean, who needs innovation, right?" This statement plays on the other person's appreciation for creativity, making them reconsider their approach and potentially lean toward collaboration. Kids and teenagers are often the easiest targets for reverse psychology. They are frequently in a developmental stage where they are establishing their own identities. By telling a teenager, "You're probably not interested in trying something new like hiking," you inadvertently spark their curiosity. The desire to prove their parents wrong or to assert their own interests often leads them to explore the very thing they were initially resistant to. Marketing and advertising also utilize reverse psychology techniques cleverly. Consider a campaign that suggests, "This product is not for everyone." This choice of words can create a sense of exclusivity and make potential customers feel that they are part of an elite group if they choose to buy the product. It's a powerful way to tap into consumer desire, suggesting that by going against the grain, they are making a choice that reflects their individuality. Reverse psychology can be particularly potent in educational settings. A teacher might say, "I know math isn't everyone's favorite subject, but some people actually enjoy it." By framing math this way, the teacher plants a seed of curiosity and may inspire students to engage with the subject more deeply than they would have if they were simply told to enjoy it. However, using reverse psychology isn't a foolproof approach. It requires a keen understanding of the individual's personality and current mood. This technique might backfire if someone feels manipulated, leading to resistance, rather than the intended result. It's crucial to maintain a balance and avoid being too obvious or pushy, as well-crafted statements that feel natural are the most effective. Context also matters greatly. In more relaxed environments, reverse psychology can create a fun, playful atmosphere that encourages new experiences. In contrast, in high-stakes scenarios where judgment and authority are at play, like in workplaces or classrooms, it's important to use this technique with caution. The ultimate goal should never be to manipulate, but to open up pathways for authentic choice and exploration. Reverse psychology is not merely a trick. It taps into deeper human motivations. It leverages the instinctual desire for autonomy and control. By framing requests in a way that appeals to these characteristics, you invite individuals to explore their desires and choices freely. This approach can foster deeper connections between people as it encourages vulnerability and openness. It reveals a shared understanding of human nature, the push and pull between desires, independence, and social dynamics. Whether implementing it in interpersonal relationships, educational environments, or marketing campaigns, reverse psychology showcases the nuanced dance of communication and human behavior. As you navigate your interactions, consider how understanding the art of reverse psychology can enrich your engagements with others. By skillfully suggesting the opposite of what you want, you not only motivate, but also create a more collaborative and open atmosphere that celebrates individual choice and autonomy. So the next time you find yourself facing resistance, remember the subtle yet powerful influence of reverse psychology. Use it thoughtfully, and you might discover it helps foster growth, creativity, and connection in ways you never anticipated. The world is full of examples of reverse psychology at play, and each instance of it underscores the complexity and richness of human interaction. The Zeigarnik Effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that helps explain why our minds often cling to unfinished tasks more than completed ones. This effect is named after Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who first identified it in the 1920s. To grasp the essence of this effect, think about how our thoughts can feel like a tangled ball of yarn, especially when we have projects that are still in progress. Imagine you are working on a puzzle that you just can't seem to finish. You set it aside for a moment, but your mind keeps wandering back to those missing pieces. You may find yourself thinking about the colors or the shapes you still need to place. The Zeigarnik Effect suggests that this fixation happens because your brain feels a sense of tension or an incomplete task. It wants closure. When you finally complete the puzzle, however, that tension dissipates, and you might even find it less memorable than the journey of getting there. Take a moment to consider a classic scenario. You're in a meeting, and your colleague begins a presentation, but gets interrupted by an emergency. The moment the meeting resumes, those unfinished points stick with you, almost demanding your attention. This is the Zeigarnik Effect in action. Your brain holds onto the gaps, waiting to fill them, rather than the information delivered, for which there is no lingering curiosity. The Zeigarnik Effect can also be more personal. Picture a time when you started reading a gripping novel but didn't finish it. Even years later, you might still remember the characters, the plot twists, and that cliffhanger ending. The book isn't completed in your mind, so it lingers there, waiting for you to return. Those unfulfilled storylines create a mental space that invites your memory to revisit. Interestingly, this effect not only influences our memory, but can also drive our behavior. Knowing that tasks linger in our minds may compel us to tackle them. Have you ever found yourself completing a chore you started earlier, just to quiet that nagging feeling? This driving force can encourage productivity, as unfinished tasks seem to nag at us until we find resolution. In everyday life, the Zeigarnik Effect manifests in various ways. Students often remember quiz questions they struggled with far better than those they answered correctly. Those tough questions, hovering in the air and creating uncertainty, lead to deeper processing and a desire to master the information. Once they feel confident in their knowledge, the intensity fades. In the realm of popular culture, you can see applications of the Zeigarnik Effect in storytelling and entertainment. Think about the last television series you binge-watched. Each episode builds upon the last, leaving cliffhangers that haunt viewers after the credits roll. The pause, the suspense, becomes more memorable. The creators know that leaving unresolved issues keeps audiences engaged, eagerly waiting for resolution. It's noteworthy that marketers and advertisers also leverage the Zeigarnik Effect. When they present products or services with incomplete messages or open-ended questions, they tap into your curiosity. This uncertainty prompts you to dig deeper and become more invested in learning. The intrigue of not having all the information plays a crucial role in capturing your attention and driving engagement. This effect can also paint a picture of our emotional landscape. Think about a conversation you had that didn't wrap up on a happy note. Often, those incomplete discussions linger, playing out in our minds, prompting rewrites of how we think things could have gone differently. They shape our feelings, creating mental dialogues that reflect our need for clarity and closure. In conclusion, the Zeigarnik Effect reveals a profound insight into how we process and remember experiences. Our brains are wired to hold onto unfinished tasks, creating a unique space for memory and behavior. Whether it's a puzzle set aside, an unfinished book, or an unresolved conversation, these incomplete experiences linger with us. They create a sense of urgency, provoking our curiosity and shaping our actions. Ultimately, understanding this effect can help us harness it to increase our productivity, engage with stories, and navigate our emotions. Exploring these unfinished aspects of our lives offers an intriguing lens through which we can understand ourselves and our motivations better. In our daily lives, we often find ourselves in situations where the unpredictability of events can be overwhelming. Whether it's a personal endeavor or a professional challenge, we might comfort ourselves with the belief that we have control over these situations. This phenomenon, known as the illusion of control, is a fascinating psychological concept that underscores our tendency to overestimate our ability to influence outcomes. To illustrate this concept, let's consider a simple example involving a game of dice. Imagine you are playing with friends, and one player insists that by rolling the dice a certain way or by blowing on them beforehand, they can influence the outcome. Interestingly, research has shown that many individuals hold this belief, convinced that their actions will somehow sway fate. In reality, the outcome of a dice roll is entirely random, controlled by probability rather than personal skill or intention. The illusion of control is not limited to games. It permeates many aspects of our lives. Consider how people approach investing in the stock market. Some investors believe they can predict market trends and make decisions based on their intuition, hoping that their insights provide an edge. While experience and analysis can inform better choices, the unpredictability of the market means that many factors, including global events or economic shifts, can drastically alter outcomes in ways that no one can foresee. Have you ever experienced a feeling of complete confidence before an important presentation or exam? You may have spent countless hours preparing, and as you walk into the room, you feel as though you are in total command of the situation. However, no matter how thoroughly you prepare, there are countless variables at play: unexpected questions, technical difficulties, or even the mood of your audience. Yet, the illusion of control may keep you anchored to the belief that your hard work alone guarantees a favorable result. This illusion can also manifest in our personal relationships. Think about how we often feel that we can fix a situation or influence a loved one's feelings or decisions. We might believe that our words or actions can change someone's thoughts or behaviors. For instance, we may try to offer advice or suggestions, convinced that we can help a friend through a difficult time. While our intentions are often good, the reality is that we cannot control how individuals process their emotions or make their choices. At times, the illusion of control can lead us to unhealthy outcomes. For instance, individuals working in high-stakes professions may develop a sense of invulnerability, believing that their meticulous planning and execution can eliminate all risks. This belief can foster a reckless attitude, leading to burnout or failure as they become disillusioned when unexpected challenges arise. So why do we fall prey to this illusion? Psychologists suggest that it offers a sense of comfort and security. When we believe we have control, we feel empowered, and we are less likely to experience anxiety. It allows us to navigate an unpredictable world by giving us a sense of agency over our circumstances. However, understanding the boundaries of our control can lead to a healthier perspective. For example, recognizing that we cannot control the decisions of others allows us to approach relationships with more compassion and less frustration. It fosters acceptance of situations, making it easier to adapt and respond positively, rather than resisting what is beyond our influence. In the context of work, appreciating the limitations of our control can lead to more effective strategies. By focusing on what we can do, like improving our skills or collaborating with others, we can contribute to our success without becoming overly fixated on controlling every outcome. Furthermore, learning to let go of the need to control can open doors to new possibilities. When we accept that some events are beyond our control, we better embrace spontaneity and creativity, leading to experiences we may have otherwise missed. Imagine taking a spontaneous trip with friends, where the outcome is uncertain, but the joy, laughter, and wonderful moments shared become priceless memories. In conclusion, while the illusion of control may provide us with comfort and a sense of power, it is essential to recognize its limitations. By understanding the unpredictability of life and accepting that we cannot influence everything, we can cultivate resilience, adaptability, and openness to new experiences. Embracing the dance between control and acceptance can lead us to a more balanced and fulfilling existence, enabling us to enjoy the journey rather than fixate solely on the destination. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where you feel the urge to exert control, take a step back and breathe. Embrace the beauty of the unknown, for it is in uncertainty that life often reveals its greatest treasures. The Dunning-Kruger Effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that shines a light on how we perceive our own abilities and knowledge in comparison to others. This cognitive bias occurs when individuals with low levels of skill or competence in a specific area overestimate their own abilities. Interestingly, these individuals often lack the insight to recognize their shortcomings, leading to inflated self-assessments. Imagine a novice chess player who has just learned the basic rules of the game. They might believe they are capable of competing against advanced players, not realizing that their limited experience and understanding make them far less skilled than they think. The chessboard can look deceptively simple, yet the strategies involved in playing at a higher level require extensive practice and knowledge. The novice, filled with confidence, may even challenge a seasoned player and be surprised by the stark difference in skill. This effect isn't limited to chess or games, of course. It can be observed in various sectors of life and fields of expertise. Consider a person who has just started a new job. They may feel they are handling tasks more effectively than their more experienced colleagues. They might believe that their new ideas and approaches can revolutionize the workflow, oblivious to the fact that their colleagues have spent years fine-tuning their methods through trial and error, learning from mistakes, and understanding the nuances of the work environment. Interestingly, the Dunning-Kruger effect isn't universally applicable only to the inexperienced or less skilled. It often operates in a cycle where the more knowledgeable individuals tend to underestimate their own abilities relative to others. These individuals frequently assume that tasks are as easy for others as they are for them. For example, a computer programming expert may think that everyone else can quickly code a simple application because it comes naturally to them. In this scenario, the expert is likely to underestimate the difficulty faced by beginners in grasping the same concepts, demonstrating a reverse form of the Dunning-Kruger effect. The ramifications of this cognitive bias can be significant, especially in workplaces or educational settings. When individuals overestimate their competence, they may also fail to seek further education or ask for guidance, believing they already know enough. This lack of continued learning can hinder personal and professional growth, as learning often comes from recognizing one's limits and pushing beyond them. To illustrate further, let's consider the field of public speaking. A person who has given only a few presentations might feel confident in their skills and believe they can captivate an audience effortlessly. However, without the necessary experience, they may not realize the importance of connecting with the audience, managing anxiety, and structuring a clear and engaging narrative. As a result, their speeches might lack depth and fail to resonate with listeners, all while the speaker is blissfully unaware of their shortcomings. In contrast, those who spend considerable time practicing and refining their public speaking skills may carry a sense of self-doubt. They are aware of the complexities involved in captivating an audience and often judge their performances more critically. This awareness can lead them to continually improve, while those entrapped by the Dunning-Kruger Effect may stagnate, believing they have already mastered their craft. The origins of the Dunning-Kruger Effect stem from a study conducted by social psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger in the late 1990s. Their research revealed that participants who performed poorly on tests tended to overestimate their performance. In contrast, those who scored highly were better able to recognize their competence in relation to others. This consistent pattern prompted further investigation into how we assess our own abilities and the biases that govern our self-perception. So why does this cognitive bias occur? One reason is that lack of competence often leads to a lack of understanding regarding what true competence entails. When individuals do not have the knowledge to evaluate their performance accurately, they can easily conclude that they are more skilled than they actually are. This cognitive blind spot can create a false sense of security, whereby individuals forge ahead without the foundational knowledge necessary to succeed in a given area. It's essential to recognize that the Dunning-Kruger effect is not merely a reflection of ignorance or lack of experience. It's a complex interplay of self-assessment, confidence, and our understanding of skill acquisition. As people gain experience, many learn to calibrate their self-assessments more accurately. This is often achieved through constructive feedback, mentorship, and personal reflection. Awareness of the Dunning-Kruger effect can lead to personal growth, encouraging individuals to seek knowledge and improvement actively. Embracing a mindset that values learning, humility, and continual development can aid in overcoming the pitfalls of this cognitive bias. Acknowledging the areas where we lack expertise is the first step to gaining a deeper appreciation for the necessary skills and knowledge in our chosen pursuits. In conclusion, the Dunning-Kruger effect serves as a powerful reminder of the limitations of our self-assessment abilities. By recognizing this cognitive bias, we can strive for a more accurate understanding of our strengths and weaknesses, ultimately leading to greater growth and development. Embracing a learning mindset allows us to explore new areas, ask questions, and seek guidance from those more experienced than ourselves. In doing so, we not only improve our own skills, but foster an environment of collaboration and shared knowledge among peers. Have you ever noticed how your feelings can influence what you remember? This fascinating phenomenon is known as mood-congruent memory, and it plays a crucial role in how we perceive our past experiences. Let's delve into this intriguing concept and explore how our emotions shape the memories we recall. Imagine you are feeling particularly joyful. Under the influence of this positive mood, you might suddenly find yourself reminiscing about your happiest moments. You could recall that unforgettable day at the beach with friends, the laughter shared at a family gathering, or the exhilaration of achieving a long-desired goal. These pleasant memories seem to resurface effortlessly, aligning perfectly with your current state of happiness. On the flip side, when you are feeling down or experiencing negative emotions, you might find that your memories shift toward more somber experiences. You may think back to a time when you faced disappointment or heartbreak. Perhaps you recall a difficult breakup or memories of losing a cherished pet. When sadness envelops you, the mind tends to sift through the past for experiences that resonate with those feelings. This selective recall reinforces the connection between the mood you are in and the memories that come to the forefront. The mechanism behind mood-congruent memory suggests that our emotions serve as powerful cues for different types of memories. When you are cheerful, your brain can more easily access memories that evoke similar feelings. Conversely, when you are feeling low, your thoughts may gravitate toward past experiences that reinforce that mood. This process highlights the interplay between emotion and memory, creating a tapestry of recollections that reflects our emotional landscape. Consider a scenario where you are feeling nostalgic, perhaps while listening to a song that holds special significance. As the melodies fill the air, memories of your youth might flood your mind. You might remember a specific friend who you laughed and shared secrets with, or a memorable trip during your teenage years. The song acts as a trigger, and your current mood, mixed with that auditory stimulus, establishes a pathway to recalling moments that align with your sentiment. This blending of sounds, feelings, and memories showcases the powerful influence of mood on memory recall. Research in psychology offers insight into the science behind mood-congruent memory. It suggests that emotions can enhance the encoding and retrieval processes of our memories. When we experience an emotion intensely, it can lead to stronger and more vivid memories. These memories tend to be stored with the emotional context intact, allowing them to resurface when we find ourselves in a matching emotional state. This phenomenon can even create a feedback loop, where remembering experiences consistent with our mood further intensifies those feelings. While mood-congruent memory has a strong impact on how we recall the past, it is essential to recognize its upsides and downsides. On one hand, it can help elevate our spirit by bringing forth joyful memories when we need them the most. More often than not, surrounding ourselves with fond recollections can uplift our mindset, reminding us of the good times in life. On the other hand, it can lead us down a path of negativity when we dwell on past disappointments. By focusing on memories that align with sadness, we may inadvertently strengthen feelings of despair or hopelessness. It becomes crucial to be aware of our moods and how they inform our recollections. Acknowledging this influence allows us to actively steer our thought processes, perhaps by deliberately recalling uplifting memories even when feeling blue. The implications of mood-congruent memory can extend beyond personal experiences. Think about how this concept plays a role in literature and storytelling. Authors often use the emotions of their characters to influence what memories emerge. A character experiencing joy might open an old photo album, prompting recollections of blissful moments. Conversely, a character grappling with loss might revisit painful memories during a quiet evening, creating a poignant moment in the narrative. Emotion infuses depth into stories, showcasing the complexity of human experience and memory. In social situations, mood-congruent memory can impact our interactions with others. When we engage with friends or loved ones during moments of shared joy, the memories created can become cherished treasures that we recall fondly in the future. On the other hand, gatherings during times of conflict or sadness may yield memories of discomfort or negativity that might linger. Being aware of how emotions affect our memories can enrich our relationships, encouraging us to create positive shared experiences that nourish our hearts. Ultimately, our emotions serve as a lens through which we view our past, guiding the selection of memories we revisit. The remarkable connection between mood and memory illustrates the intricate workings of the mind, reminding us of the fluidity of our experiences. So, next time you find yourself inspired by a mood, take a moment to explore the memories that surface. You may discover a powerful reminder of the joys and challenges that shape your life, colored by the emotions you carry. In conclusion, mood-congruent memory resonates through the corridors of our minds, influencing how we engage with our memories based on our current emotional state. It reinforces the profound bond between feelings and recollections, revealing the complexities of human experience. By understanding this phenomenon, we can appreciate the richness it brings to our lives and strive to foster positive associations that illuminate our paths forward. In the realm of game theory, there is a strategy known as tit for tat that has intrigued mathematicians, economists, and even psychologists for decades. This strategy is particularly interesting because it reflects a simple yet powerful approach to interactions in repeated games. To understand tit for tat, let's delve into the basic concept of game theory itself. Game theory studies the strategic interactions between individuals or groups when the outcome for each participant depends not only on their own actions but also on the actions of others. Imagine a scenario where two players are competing in a game. Each player has the option to either cooperate with the other or betray them for personal gain. If both players choose to cooperate, they both receive a reward. If one cooperates while the other betrays, the betrayer gets a significantly higher reward. while the cooperator receives nothing. This dynamic brings about a fascinating exploration of trust and reciprocity in human interactions. Now let's focus on the tit-for-tat strategy. Essentially, it operates on the principle of reciprocity. In the first round of a game, a player using tit-for-tat will cooperate with their opponent. This initial act of cooperation sets a positive tone. In subsequent rounds, the player will simply replicate whatever the opponent did in the previous round. If the opponent cooperated, the tit-for-tat player will also cooperate. If the opponent betrayed them, then the tit-for-tat player will betray in return. It's a straightforward, responsive strategy that reflects a willingness to maintain cooperation, but also a readiness to defend oneself if betrayed. The beauty of tit-for-tat lies in its simplicity and effectiveness. During a famous study conducted by Robert Axelrod in the early 1980s, various strategies were pitted against one another in a computer tournament. Tit-for-tat consistently emerged as one of the most successful strategies, often outperforming more complex tactics. This outcome can be attributed to several factors. First, tit-for-tat fosters a spirit of cooperation. By starting with an act of goodwill, it encourages the opponent to respond in kind, leading to a potentially constructive and mutually beneficial interaction. Second, the strategy provides a clear mechanism for punishment. If betrayal happens, the immediate reaction is to retaliate, which signals to the opponent the consequences of their actions. This creates a balance between cooperation and self-defense, promoting a more stable interaction in the long run. Moreover, the effectiveness of tit-for-tat is enhanced by its ability to adapt. It is not merely a one-note strategy, it allows for forgiveness. If an opponent reverts back to cooperation after a betrayal, the tit-for-tat player will also cooperate again. This quality of forgiveness distinguishes it from more punitive strategies that might continue a cycle of retaliation indefinitely. In a way, tit-for-tat embodies the essence of healthy relationships, where one can be firm yet forgiving, and where responses are directly correlated to the actions of others. Interestingly, the principles behind tit-for-tat have been observed in various areas beyond game theory, including evolutionary biology, social dynamics, and economics. For instance, in nature, many species demonstrate cooperative behavior as seen in social animals. Wolves hunt in packs, and bees work together to build hives and care for their young. These behaviors can be explained through the lens of reciprocity, where the benefits of mutual cooperation outweigh the costs of betrayal. In the business world, the implications of tit-for-tat can be profound. Consider negotiations between companies. If one company honors a contract and delivers quality products, a tit-for-tat response from the other could mean establishing long-term partnerships based on trust. Conversely, if a company fails to deliver, a tit-for-tat approach would lead to a reassessment of the relationship, potentially moving towards less cooperative tactics. It's crucial to note that while tit-for-tat is effective in many situations, it is not foolproof. Certain environments or interactions may not yield positive outcomes when relying solely on reciprocity. For example, in more competitive or hostile environments, opponents may take advantage of a cooperative approach. In such cases, more complex strategies or adjustments may be necessary for success. To sum it up, the tit-for-tat strategy serves as a remarkable example of how simple principles can govern complex interactions. With its focus on cooperation, retaliation, and forgiveness, it has proven to be an effective tool not just in games, but in real-life social and economic contexts as well. It highlights how our choices shape our interactions and underscores the importance of balance in relationships. Through understanding and applying tit-for-tat, individuals may enhance their communication and foster stronger connections in their personal and professional lives. Ultimately, this strategy teaches us that in the intricate dance of cooperation and competition, our responses matter deeply and can lead to a more harmonious existence. Triviality Law, also known as Parkinson's Law of Triviality, offers an intriguing perspective on how we allocate our attention and efforts to various tasks and decisions in our lives. At its core, it suggests that people often invest more time and energy into seemingly trivial matters, while overlooking more significant issues that require their focus. This phenomenon, although counterintuitive, can be observed in various settings, from workplace dynamics to personal relationships and even broader societal issues. Imagine a team tasked with proposing a new project. As they gather to discuss their ideas, it is likely that a substantial part of their meeting will be dedicated to debating the color of the project logo or the type of snacks to provide during the launch event. These topics might elicit passionate discussions, endless back-and-forth exchanges, and even heated debates, while crucial elements such as the project's objectives, target audience, or budget receive far less attention. This tendency reflects how people can become engrossed in details that, in the grand scheme of things, hold little weight, resulting in a misallocation of resources and time. In our daily lives, we can find similar patterns. For instance, consider a situation where individuals are preparing for a major event, such as a wedding. Hours can be spent deciding on the table centerpieces, the flower arrangements, or the playlist for the reception, while more pressing matters, like budget constraints or guest accommodations, are only superficially addressed. This inclination toward trivial concerns suggests how easy it is to get caught up in details that provide immediate gratification or feel manageable, rather than tackling issues that may seem overwhelming or less pleasant. The workplace is particularly susceptible to the effects of Triviality Law. In many office environments, meetings can become bogged down in minor details rather than discussing overarching strategies or team dynamics. Instead of addressing the company's vision, goals, or potential market disruptions, employees may find themselves arguing over the specific format of a report or the location of a team-building event. This can lead to frustration among team members who are eager to tackle the more significant challenges but feel sidelined by inconsequential discussions. One reason for this tendency may lie in our psychological makeup. Engaging with trivial matters often feels more achievable and less stressful than confronting substantial issues that may require difficult decisions or long-term commitment. By focusing on small details, people might feel a sense of progress and control, even if that progress does not align with their most pressing objectives. This can create a cycle where trivial discussions become the norm, as individuals grow comfortable navigating familiar conversations over challenging topics. Beyond our personal lives, the Triviality Law can also be seen in how society engages with current events. Think about the headlines that capture public attention. Often, sensational stories will dominate discussions while complex issues, such as climate change, economic inequality, or healthcare reform, struggle for recognition. These substantial challenges may seem daunting and invoke a sense of helplessness, leading people to fixate instead on celebrity gossip or viral social media trends that feel more accessible. The implications of Triviality Law extend further into decision-making processes on both individual and collective levels. In government or organizational contexts, leaders may find themselves addressing community concerns over minor local regulations, while avoiding significant issues like education funding or public health. This misalignment can foster a lack of trust among constituents who are more aware of pressing issues but feel unheard or disregarded. So how can we combat the tendencies associated with Triviality Law? Cultivating awareness is a crucial first step. By actively reflecting on how we spend our time, we can develop a better understanding of the balance between addressing trivial and substantial concerns. Setting clear goals and prioritizing tasks based on their significance can also direct our focus away from minutiae. Additionally, encouraging open dialogue around essential topics can foster an environment where pressing issues are front and center. In teams or communities, establishing frameworks that prioritize significant challenges can help ensure that more trivial matters do not dominate conversations. By framing discussions to address larger intentions and sharing responsibility in decision-making, we can create an atmosphere that acknowledges the importance of addressing high-priority issues. Ultimately, understanding and recognizing the effects of Triviality Law allows us to become more intentional about how we spend our time and attention. By focusing our energies on substantive matters, we can enhance our effectiveness as individuals, collaborators, and community members, fostering a richer dialogue around what truly matters. The balance between the trivial and the significant is an ongoing journey, one that shapes our experiences, choices, and ultimately our life's purpose. As we navigate this journey, let us remember to seek depth over distraction, commitment over convenience, and understanding over mere agreement, paving the way for a more thoughtful and engaged existence. The false consensus effect is a fascinating concept in psychology that relates to how we perceive our beliefs and opinions in relation to those of others. This cognitive bias occurs when individuals assume that their own thoughts, opinions, and behaviors are shared by the majority, leading them to overestimate the degree to which others conform to their views. It is essential to understand that this isn't just a minor quirk of thought. It has significant implications in various areas of our lives, including social interactions, decision-making, and even political beliefs. To illustrate the false consensus effect, consider a simple example. Imagine you are a person who enjoys a particular genre of music, such as jazz. You find yourself not only enjoying jazz, but also believing that most of your friends and acquaintances share this preference. As you immerse yourself in discussions about music, you may feel surprised when someone expresses a strong dislike for jazz. Your reaction stems from the assumption that everyone should appreciate jazz as you do, and the shock you feel is a classic illustration of the false consensus effect. Research in psychology shows that this phenomenon is prevalent in many contexts. For instance, in a study where participants were asked to predict how others would feel about a specific social issue, say climate change, many individuals believed that their viewpoints were more common than they actually were. They might think, everyone must agree with me that combating climate change is urgent, even when evidence suggests a broader range of opinions exists. This bias often stems from our social circles. We tend to surround ourselves with like-minded people, reinforcing our beliefs and opinions. If you are in a group that primarily shares your views, it can create an echo chamber. Consequently, the more frequently you hear your beliefs echoed back to you by others, the more likely you are to believe they are widely held. This is a classic case of confirmation bias, where we favor information that confirms our existing beliefs, often leading us to overlook or dismiss diverse opinions. The implications of the false consensus effect stretch beyond casual conversations. In workplaces, for example, decision-making can be skewed by this cognitive bias. If a manager believes that the entire team shares a certain vision or strategy, they might not seek input from others who could have differing perspectives. This can prevent the exploration of better ideas or innovative solutions, and can lead to groupthink, where the desire for harmony or conformity results in poor decisions. In political discourse, the false consensus effect can also play a pivotal role. During election cycles, individuals often feel that their preferences and beliefs are predominantly represented within the broader population. This misperception can fuel divisiveness, as those who recognize their differing beliefs may feel alienated, while those who are caught in the echo bubble might grow increasingly polarized, believing that everyone they encounter shares their views entirely. One reason the false consensus effect occurs is our natural inclination to seek validation for our beliefs. When we feel that our ideas are common, it boosts our confidence and sense of belonging. However, this tendency to project our beliefs onto others can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. For example, if an individual expresses a belief that is not widely shared, and the majority assumes it is, this can result in backlash or dismissal, making it more challenging for minority perspectives to be heard. To counteract the effects of this bias, it is crucial to foster open-mindedness and engage in active listening. This involves making a conscious effort to seek out diverse viewpoints, rather than just those that resonate with our beliefs. Engaging with different opinions can provide a richer understanding of complex issues and help us recognize the validity in perspectives that differ from our own. Moreover, considering how social media perpetuates the false consensus effect is essential in today's digital age. Online platforms often expose us primarily to individuals who share our views, creating an illusion of consensus that can skew our perception of reality. The algorithms that curate content can trap users in a bubble, where they only encounter information that aligns with their beliefs, thereby reinforcing this effect. Understanding the false consensus effect can illuminate our interactions with others and encourage a more nuanced appreciation of the diversity in thoughts and beliefs that exist in our world. By acknowledging that not everyone thinks as we do, we can enrich our discussions and promote more inclusive conversations. This awareness allows us to engage with differing opinions constructively rather than defensively. In conclusion, the false consensus effect is a powerful cognitive bias that shapes how we view our beliefs in relation to those of others. By recognizing this tendency within ourselves, we can cultivate a greater appreciation for the variety of perspectives present in our society. Embracing this diversity can enhance our understanding and lead to more meaningful connections, fostering a culture of dialogue rather than uniformity. Through reflection and consideration, we can better navigate our beliefs and enhance our social interactions, moving towards a more inclusive and thoughtful way of engaging with one another. Imagine waking up each morning with a certain belief about your day. You tell yourself it will be productive, enjoyable, or perhaps challenging. These beliefs, positive or negative, can shape the way you act and respond to various situations throughout the day. This phenomenon is known as a self-fulfilling prophecy. To understand this better, let's take a journey through some examples and the psychological principles behind it. First, consider the scenario of a student preparing for an exam. If this student firmly believes they will do poorly, this expectation may lead to actions aligned with that belief. They might skip study sessions, feel anxious during preparation, or approach the test with a lack of confidence. Conversely, if the student believes they will perform well, they are more likely to engage in effective study habits, approach the exam confidently, and ultimately achieve the desired results. The belief sets the stage for actions that, in turn, produce outcomes aligned with those beliefs. Another interesting example can be seen in workplace dynamics. Picture an employee who believes their contributions are undervalued. This belief may lead them to hold back ideas during meetings, avoiding risks and new challenges. Consequently, their lack of engagement may lead to their supervisor overlooking them for promotions or special projects, reinforcing the belief that their efforts don't matter. On the flip side, an employee who believes they bring significant value to the team is more likely to share innovative ideas and seek opportunities for collaboration. This proactive approach can enhance their visibility and overall value in the workplace, leading to recognition and advancement. The effects of a self-fulfilling prophecy extend beyond individual experiences. They also have a considerable impact on societal and cultural dynamics. For instance, consider a community that holds a collective belief about the potential of its youth. If the narrative emphasizes that these young individuals are destined for success, resources, mentorship programs, and encouragement may flow their way. As a result, the youth feel empowered, take on challenges, and the community witnesses an uplift in achievements. However, if the prevailing belief is that the youth are prone to failure or disengagement, resources may dwindle, and there may be a lack of support. Unfortunately, this belief can lead to disengagement and lower expectations among the youth, creating a cycle that is hard to break. Sports offer another compelling illustration. When athletes believe they are capable of achieving greatness, they often train harder, visualize success, and maintain a positive mindset. For example, a soccer player who visualizes scoring a goal during a match is more likely to take decisive actions on the field that lead to that very outcome. The anticipation drives them to position themselves better, take shots at the right moments, and stay focused, ultimately increasing the chances of scoring. Conversely, if the player believes they will miss, this negative expectation can lead to hesitation and self-doubt, significantly lowering their performance. Moreover, consider the influence of self-fulfilling prophecies within families. Parents who nurture an atmosphere of high expectations often instill confidence in their children. If a parent believes their child is capable of achieving academic success, they may encourage their child to take on challenges, supporting them through struggles and celebrating achievements. This encouragement can significantly boost the child's self-esteem and motivation, resulting in better performance at school. On the other hand, if parents constantly express doubts about their child's capabilities, the child may internalize these doubts, leading to lower performance and self-worth. Self-fulfilling prophecies can even manifest in simple, daily interactions. For instance, consider how your belief about someone affects your interactions with them. If you believe your friend is having a tough day, you may approach them with extra kindness, asking thoughtful questions and offering support. This behavior can uplift your friend's spirits and change their day for the better. However, if you believe a colleague is abrasive, you may default to a defensive or unwelcoming demeanor, potentially leading to a conflict that supports the initial perception. Understanding the dynamics of self-fulfilling prophecies can empower individuals to shift their beliefs and expectations mindfully. By recognizing that our beliefs can act as a lens through which we interpret the world, we can consciously choose to adopt more positive, constructive beliefs. It starts with a simple question: what do you believe about your potential? By cultivating positive expectations, we can unlock a more fulfilling experience in our endeavors, whether in personal relationships, professional worlds, or creative pursuits. In essence, self-fulfilling prophecies illustrate the extraordinary power of beliefs in shaping our reality. They remind us that our perceptions can profoundly influence our actions, creating a chain reaction that leads to tangible outcomes. By harnessing this understanding, we can approach life with a mindset that fosters resilience, creativity, and connection, paving the way for a transformative journey filled with possibilities. So as you move through your day, reflect on your beliefs and consider how they might be influencing your actions and experiences. Remember, Your expectations can shape the world around you in incredible ways. Emotional contagion is a fascinating phenomenon that explores how emotions can be spread from one person to another. Think of it as an invisible thread connecting people's feelings. When someone experiences a particular emotion, whether it's joy, sadness, anger, or excitement, it can influence those around them, creating a ripple effect. This interconnectedness of emotional experiences is something that happens in everyday life, but it is often taken for granted. Imagine walking into a room where a celebration is taking place. The atmosphere is filled with laughter, cheer, and excitement. You can almost feel the happiness radiating from those around you. It's likely that you start to feel a sense of joy and contribute to that lively energy without even realizing it. This is an example of emotional contagion at work. The positive emotions of others trigger similar feelings within you. On the other hand, consider a scenario where someone walks into a space clearly upset or frustrated. Their body language may be tense, their facial expression downcast, and their voice may carry a heavy weight. As you witness their struggle, you may find that your own mood begins to shift, and you might start to feel a bit downcast as well. Here, you are experiencing emotional contagion from a negative perspective. This powerful mechanism can often lead to a group of people sharing similar moods, be they heightened spirits during a celebration or a more subdued energy in times of distress. This occurrence of emotional contagion may also play a significant role in developing our social bonds. When we engage with friends or family, our emotional exchanges create a tapestry of shared experiences that can enhance relationships. If you see a friend in distress and share in their emotions, your empathy can deepen your connection to them. By feeling what they feel, you understand their needs and can respond more supportively, nurturing a sense of unity and compassion. Even subtle cues, like a smile, a nod, or enthusiastic gestures, can resonate deeply within ourselves. For instance, if a colleague enters the office with an enthusiastic greeting and a wide grin, it's hard not to mirror that energy, even if you were feeling mediocre just moments ago. The mechanics of our interpersonal relationships often rely on this dynamic exchange of emotions. Interestingly, emotional contagion isn't just limited to face-to-face interactions. It also spans digital platforms. When you scroll through social media, you might notice how certain posts evoke emotional reactions from their readers. A heartfelt story can generate feelings of compassion, while a funny meme may incite laughter across a broad audience. Images, words, videos, and even music can invoke strong emotional responses, leading individuals sharing those feelings across vast distances. The implications of emotional contagion extend beyond personal relationships. They can also influence groups, organizations, and communities. Leaders in any field, be it business, education, or community organizing, often wield this power of emotional influence effectively. When a leader remains positive and resilient, they can uplift their team and foster a culture of optimism. Conversely, if negativity takes hold, it can establish a pervasive climate that stifles creativity and enthusiasm. Studies suggest that emotional contagion can have tangible effects on productivity. For instance, in a workplace setting, if teamwork is cooperative and positivity prevails, it not only enhances individual performance, but also boosts the collective output. On the flip side, consistent negativity can lead to increased stress levels, decreased morale, and ultimately a decline in efficiency. This emphasizes the importance of cultivating awareness about emotional states, not just in ourselves, but in the people we interact with. Interestingly, emotional contagion is closely tied to empathy, the ability to recognize and share the feelings of others. Empathetic individuals are often more susceptible to emotional contagion because they readily resonate with the emotions expressed by those around them. In contrast, someone with lower empathy may not experience the same emotional absorption, potentially leading to misunderstandings in social or professional settings. It's also worth noting how emotional contagion can be influenced by cultural factors. Different cultures exhibit varying social norms around emotional expression, which can shape the way emotions are shared and experienced within communities. For example, in a culture where expressing joy is encouraged, emotional contagion may be more pronounced in celebratory settings. Conversely, cultures that emphasize stoicism may experience less outward emotional expression, influencing the dynamics of emotional sharing in subtle ways. So next time you find yourself in a social setting, pay attention to the emotions at play. Take notice of how a smile can brighten the atmosphere and how laughter can create a sense of connection. Recognizing the effects of emotional contagion can empower you to be a positive influence in your environment. Whether you are aware of it or not, the emotions you project are felt by those around you. This beautiful blending of feelings can nurture relationships, foster collaboration, and create resilient networks in personal and professional realms. Emotional contagion is a remarkable testament to our interconnectedness as human beings. By acknowledging and harnessing this power, we can cultivate a more empathetic, joyful, and productive existence, extending the warmth of our emotions to engage, uplift, and inspire one another. Imagine a fair coin being tossed. You watch as it lands heads up 5 times in a row. It seems like an incredible streak, doesn't it? Now, as you prepare to make your next guess, you may feel that tails is due to occur soon, that it's simply time for a tail to show up. This belief is a classic example of a cognitive bias known as the gambler's fallacy. The gambler's fallacy occurs when someone believes that past random events influence the outcome of future random events. In the coin flip scenario, each toss is independent and carries no memory of the previous outcomes. The odds of getting heads or tails remain unchanged at 50% with every flip, regardless of the sequence that came before. However, many people instinctively feel that after several heads, a tail is due, suggesting that randomness is somehow influenced by prior results. To understand this concept better, let us consider a more comprehensive gambling scenario, such as a game of roulette. Picture yourself at a casino, watching the wheel spin around and around. The ball has just landed on red 5 times in a row. With excitement, you might think that black is now more likely to win next. In reality, the odds for red and black remain fixed, and each spin is entirely separate from the last. This fallacy can have significant implications not only in gambling, but also in various life situations. When buying lottery tickets, for instance, one might believe that certain numbers are due to come up because they haven't appeared frequently in the past. This belief is misleading, as each lottery draw is random and unaffected by previous results. The gambler's fallacy is rooted in our naturally intuitive thinking, blending confusion with probability. Many people have a misunderstanding of randomness, confusing a run of consecutive outcomes with a predictable pattern. Our brains like to find patterns in stories and data, and when faced with the chaos of random events, we may unconsciously construct narratives that assume a reversal is on the horizon. Delving deeper, the fallacy can even have broader applications in our lives. Consider sports outcomes. If a basketball team has won several games in a row, fans might predict that they'll lose their next game. This assumption may arise from the belief that winning streaks cannot last indefinitely. Here, the temptation to think that the law of averages will balance the results can cloud judgment. In truth, each game has its set of unique variables, and past results have no bearing on future performance. Have you ever seen someone avoid a specific slot machine because it hasn't paid out in a while? This decision often stems from the belief that it is due for a payout, which ignores the reality that each spin on that machine is independent. In essence, the machine has no recollection of its previous payouts. The odds remain the same. In life outside the realm of gambling, the gambler's fallacy can affect decision-making too. For instance, when investing in stocks, one might consider the recent performance of a company. If a stock price has consistently risen, an investor might predict a downturn, believing the stock price must correct itself. However, market forces are complex, and each moment in the market is influenced by a myriad of factors that don't follow a neat pattern. The impact of this fallacy can lead to misaligned expectations, faulty strategies, and unnecessary stress. Learning to recognize the gambler's fallacy can nurture a more rational perspective on random events. By understanding the independence of such events, a person can make more informed and logical choices. Awareness of the fallacy invites a reframing of our thoughts around probability. Instead of seeing a sequence of outcomes as a predictor of future results, it encourages embracing uncertainty and recognizing that randomness doesn't conform to our desire for balance or predictability. It teaches us that just because we perceive a pattern doesn't mean one exists. To sum it up, while the gambler's fallacy might seem to offer comfort in predicting future events based on history, it is fundamentally a misconception of how randomness works. By letting go of this belief, we can approach each new occurrence with a clearer mind, free from the burden of erroneous assumptions about the past influencing the future. So the next time you find yourself tempted to assume that a certain outcome is unlikely based on previous occurrences, Take a moment to remember the independent nature of events, embrace the beauty of chance, and allow the future to unfold with its own surprises. In the world of decision-making, we often encounter a fascinating phenomenon known as the affect heuristic. This interesting mental shortcut is where people tend to rely on their emotions rather than a cold, analytical assessment of the facts at hand. Understanding this concept can provide insights into human behavior, influencing everything from personal choices to major societal trends. To grasp how the affect heuristic works, let's start with some examples. Imagine you are choosing a vacation destination. You have two options: a tropical beach resort that invokes feelings of relaxation, joy, and adventure, and a city known for its historical significance but filled with traffic and crowds. The resort, with its sunny landscape and the promise of warm ocean breezes, may easily evoke a strong positive emotion compared to the city, which might feel more stressful. As a result, the mere idea of the beach could sway your decision more than the specific facts about each location. This immediate emotional response can be a powerful driver in decision-making. Even when presented with objective data about the potential costs, accommodations, or attractions of each option, the emotional appeal of that tropical paradise continues to play a significant role. The affect heuristic allows your feelings to guide you, sometimes overshadowing logical reasoning. Now consider the realm of consumer behavior. When shopping, consumers often make choices based on how a product makes them feel rather than just the product specifications. For instance, a marketing campaign that tells a heartwarming story about a family using a particular brand of toothpaste can elicit feelings of nostalgia and warmth. Consumers might choose that brand over others, even if another product offers similar or superior effectiveness. The advertising has capitalized on emotions, leading to a preference that may seem irrational on the surface. Emotions can also influence decisions at a larger scale, such as in political contexts. Candidates and campaigns often seek to connect emotionally with voters. A candidate who showcases inspiring stories or evokes feelings of hope may resonate more deeply with voters, potentially swaying opinions even if their policies don't stand out as the most viable. Conversely, negative emotions can also play a role. Fear-based messaging can motivate people to act in ways that align with their emotional reactions, often leading to decisions that reflect immediate sentiment rather than long-term considerations. However, while the affect heuristic can simplify decision-making, it can also lead to misjudgments or oversights. Emotions can be fleeting and subjective, and decisions made in the heat of the moment may not always align with our longer-term goals or logic. For example, if an individual has strong negative feelings about a particular market sector due to past experiences or media portrayals, they might choose to avoid investing in that sector altogether. This emotional bias may prevent them from recognizing potential growth opportunities. Moreover, the impact of the affect heuristic can be seen in health and environmental decisions. When individuals hear distressing news about climate change or health risks, their immediate emotional response may lead them to supportive actions or changes in behavior. However, emotional reactions can also lead to anxiety or defensiveness, which might steer individuals away from engaging with the scientific complexity of these issues. Research in psychology offers valuable insights into how emotions shape our choices. Findings indicate that emotional responses are processed in a part of the brain known as the amygdala, which plays a crucial role in how we perceive fear and pleasure. This area influences how we interpret information, meaning that our feelings can effectively filter the data we consider relevant to our decision-making processes. Understanding the affect heuristic can empower individuals to recognize when emotions are influencing their choices. By becoming aware of how feelings warp perceptions of risk and benefit, individuals can develop a more balanced approach to decisions. For example, before making significant purchases or life-altering choices, it might be beneficial to pause and evaluate the facts alongside emotional responses, ensuring that both dimensions are considered. It is important to strike a balance between emotion and rational analysis. Emotional insights can guide you toward choices that resonate with your values and personal identity, ensuring that the decisions you make align with who you are. Likewise, grounding decisions in reality, such as researching options and seeking varied opinions, can help mitigate the risks of being swayed solely by emotion. In conclusion, the affect heuristic illustrates the intricate relationship between feelings and decision-making. By acknowledging the power of emotion in our choices, we can learn to navigate the often complex landscape of decision-making with greater awareness. Whether selecting a new car, choosing a vacation spot, or engaging with social issues, recognizing how our emotions may guide us can lead to more thoughtful and fulfilling outcomes. Ultimately, understanding the affect heuristic enriches our comprehension of ourselves and the choices we make in life, leading to a more holistic approach to decision-making. The endowment effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that reveals how our sense of ownership can dramatically alter the value we place on objects. Essentially, when people own something, they tend to value it more than if they did not own it. This effect has been widely studied and documented, unveiling the intricate ways in which our emotions and biases shape our decisions. Imagine for a moment that you are at a yard sale. You spot a vintage baseball glove, worn and slightly cracked, sitting among other items. After haggling a bit, you manage to purchase it for just a few dollars. Now, in your mind, this glove has taken on a unique value. It's no longer just a piece of old leather. It represents your decision, your money spent, and perhaps even a nostalgic connection to a time when you played catch in the backyard. If someone later approaches you at a party and offers you $10 for the glove, you might feel a hesitation. You could easily get profit from this sale, but the thought of letting go of something you now consider yours stirs up feelings of attachment. This attachment can manifest in various scenarios. Picture a scenario where two people are offered a coffee mug. One person is given the mug, while the other is merely offered the same mug without prior ownership. The first person, who possesses the mug, might value it at $10 or even more. In contrast, the second person, who does not own it, might only be willing to pay $5 for the mug. This disparity in valuation is the endowment effect in action. The endowment effect is not just limited to trivial items. It extends into consumer behavior, influencing how we perceive the value of products, services, and even stocks. The moment an individual purchases a product, their mindset shifts. It becomes an extension of themselves, contributing to their identity and personal narrative. This connection can lead them to resist selling it, even if it would make logical financial sense. A classic study conducted by researchers Daniel Kahneman, Jack Netsch, and Richard Thaler demonstrated the endowment effect through an experiment involving university students. The students were given coffee mugs and later offered the option to trade them for a pen of equal value. Surprisingly, very few of those who received the mugs were willing to trade for the pen, even though rational economic theories would suggest they should be indifferent to either item, given equal monetary value. Instead, their ownership led them to overvalue the mug. Why does this happen? One reason could be our natural inclination toward loss aversion. The prospect of losing something we own often weighs far heavier on our minds than the potential gain of acquiring something new. Research shows that losses can feel twice as painful as the pleasure of an equivalent gain. Therefore, parting with an owned item feels like a loss, prompting us to demand significantly more to let go of it than we would be willing to pay to acquire it. The endowment effect also plays a crucial role in our everyday lives, affecting how we approach decisions. For instance, consider your smartphone. When you think about upgrading to the latest model, you might feel excited about the new features. However, your attachment to your current device can lead you to overestimate its worth. By the time you've personalized it with your favorite apps, photographs, and contacts, your phone becomes more than just a gadget. It's part of your routine and lifestyle. This emotional investment raises its perceived value in your eyes. Marketing strategies often exploit this psychological effect. Retailers frequently encourage consumers to try products before buying them, such as test driving cars or sampling gourmet chocolates. As soon as individuals gain physical ownership, even momentarily, the products take on a newfound significance, often making them more likely to complete a purchase. This is why free trials or money-back guarantees can be quite effective. Once consumers have engaged with the product, they feel a sense of ownership, making them less likely to let go. Thinking about the endowment effect encourages reflection on how ownership influences our emotions and decisions. It prompts us to ask important questions about what we value. If our belongings hold more significance simply due to our connection to them, how does that affect our interactions with others, our spending habits, and our relationships with material possessions? Recognizing the endowment effect can also lead us toward more mindful behavior. By understanding that our emotions often cloud our judgment about value, we can make more informed decisions. If we're aware that attachment can inflate our perceived worth, we may evaluate whether to hold on to certain items or how to let go without undue attachment. As you ponder the implications of the endowment effect, think about your own possessions and how they might be influenced by this bias. Every object around you tells a story unique to your experience and perception, binding you to them in ways that might not be immediately visible. Our belongings serve as a canvas, colored by memories, emotions, and the simple act of ownership. The next time you find yourself valuing something a bit too highly, remember, it might just be the endowment effect at play, giving a spark of insight into the intertwined nature of ownership, value, and the human experience. The IKEA effect is a fascinating psychological phenomenon that reveals a unique aspect of human behavior. When individuals invest their time and effort into creating or assembling something, they tend to appreciate that item significantly more than if it were simply given to them. This effect is named after the popular Swedish furniture retailer IKEA, which is famous for its ready-to-assemble furniture. When you purchase a piece of furniture from IKEA, you often take on the role of a builder, carefully following the instructions to construct your new item. One of the most interesting aspects of the IKEA effect is how it taps into the concept of ownership. When you build something with your own hands, you develop a sense of ownership and pride in the item. This emotional investment enhances the perceived value of your creation. It's not just a chair or a table, it's a representation of your effort, creativity, and problem-solving skills. Imagine putting together a bookshelf. You carefully follow the instructions, selecting each piece and connecting them, and as you step back to view your work, it becomes more than just furniture. It transforms into a symbol of your accomplishment. Research confirms the IKEA effect through various studies. In one study, participants were asked to assemble simple Lego sets. After completing the assembly, they were then asked to evaluate the value of their creations compared to those built by others. Remarkably, people valued their own creations significantly higher, even when the assembled Lego models were of identical quality. This shows that the more effort you put into something, the more you value it. The IKEA effect can also be seen in various aspects of our daily lives. For example, when you cook a meal, you often find yourself enjoying it more than if someone else prepared the same dish. The chopping, seasoning, and cooking processes involve your hands and your decisions. You might savor the flavors differently, feeling a sense of pride in what you've created. This principle can apply to anything that requires effort: gardening, painting, building, or even crafting a simple DIY project. Think about the last time you built a piece of furniture or created something from scratch. The experience can be immensely satisfying. The struggle of figuring out how to connect all the pieces, the joy of finally seeing it come together, and the end result that stands as a testament to your patience and creativity heighten your appreciation. This sense of ownership and achievement creates a bond between you and your creation. However, the IKEA effect also points to interesting societal implications. It may influence consumer behavior, where people become more engaged with brands that allow them to create or personalize their products. Businesses that encourage customers to participate in the creation process may see an increase in loyalty and sales. Think of companies that empower users to customize their products, whether it's designing their own sneakers or adding personal engravings to jewelry. This interaction fosters a deeper connection between the customer and the product, leading to higher perceived value. The phenomenon also reminds us of the importance of effort in achieving satisfaction. In many areas of life, what we achieve through hard work is often valued more than what comes easily. This can be linked to the broader idea that personal involvement and investment lead to emotional benefits. Consider hobbies such as woodworking or knitting, where individuals often take great pride in their handcrafted pieces. Each item made can carry stories, emotions, and the journey of its creation. Additionally, the IKEA effect can impact relationships. When people invest time and effort into nurturing friendships or familial bonds, they tend to value those relationships even more. The shared experiences, the struggles faced together, and the accomplishments celebrated as a team create a sense of ownership in those relationships. This deep sense of connection arises from shared effort, creating treasured memories that enhance the overall appreciation of those bonds. While the IKEA effect highlights the value of personal contribution, it also offers a pathway for self-growth. Facing challenges head-on and learning from failures during the building or creating process can lead to greater confidence and resilience. Every assembled item serves as a reminder that great things often emerge from perseverance. This lesson applies far beyond furniture assembly. It resonates through life's many challenges. Ultimately, the IKEA effect is a testament to the remarkable interplay between effort and value. Human beings possess an innate desire to be creators rather than just consumers. This phenomenon showcases our longing for connection and the significance of ownership in our lives. Whether it's a piece of furniture built from scratch or a dish whipped up in the kitchen, the things we create can become extensions of ourselves, embodying our efforts, creativity, and passion. In conclusion, the IKEA effect serves as a reminder of the beauty found in creation. It demonstrates how the things we build become so much more than mere objects. They are reflections of our journeys and experiences. The next time you build something with your own hands, take a moment to appreciate not just the final product, but all the effort, creativity, and care that you put into it. Remember, the more invested you are in the process, the more meaningful the result will be.